Here we are.
What's up, guys? So we're going to give it a second, make sure everything's rolling. We're playing around with a new program. We're always kind of doing, they're always playing around with something new, trying to make the podcast a little bit better. So I'm going to make sure everything's rolling before we get started. And once we do that, we'll get moving. As you guys are rolling into the chat, let us know where you're from. And we'll get it going here in just a second.
Who's here? Joseph's here.
We're
Brand new
good.
blue belt. We're live, huh?
We're good. We're good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 155 of the Chewjitsu podcast.
55. So, guys, while we're waiting for everybody to join to the chat, we'll go through our sponsors. We got a new one here. Recently, they sent us some stuff, so we figured we'd try it out. We liked it. I liked it.
I've had a couple.
We'll share our experiences. I'll share my experience. So I'll tell you first about what it is. The company's called Hoist. It's like moist, but with an H. And it's an electrolyte drink. So again, it's got from the literature that I was reading on, it's got double the electrolytes in the drink and half the sugar of most sports drinks. So this one's got 130 milligrams of calcium, 260 of magnesium, 20 of magnesium, 260 of potassium, 430 of sodium. And then it's only got about 13 grams of sugars added to it. So, which is not that bad considering, especially after a hard training session, completely okay. And it said that when I was reading the literature, it said this stuff was isotonic, which means it's absorbed into the bloodstream very quickly. I tried it out because I like to try stuff out. I was right now at our gym. Right now, we're doing this thing where on one day of the week we're doing a full-on rolling session, like for the days, right? So, like for instance, Monday was nothing but rolling. That's all we did, nothing else, just rolling. And then on Tuesday, it's pretty much a full drilling day. So then for 2 hours, we're drilling techniques and repetitions, things of that nature. And I used it on the rolling day, and I definitely felt pretty good. I used it both on a gi rolling day and a no gi rolling day. So I used it twice over 2 weeks. And I definitely felt better. As I've gotten a bit older, I noticed that, the multiple rolling sessions really takes it out of me. And I definitely noticed that I was a bit hydrated for the training later on that evening. I felt a little bit more energized for it. Also, I like that because I hate it. I hate when you get a drink and they put all the dyes in it. Like this one, if you look, it's clear. There's no artificial dyes in this thing. I hate that. I hate when you get the drink because the dyes are literally just for color. It's for presentation. There's nothing special about the dyes. It tastes like an orange flavored thing and there's nothing to it.
What flavor you got over there?
I've got orange.
I've got strawberry lemonade.
So anyway, if you want to check their stuff out, you can go to the
stringhoist.com. Promo code is Chewjitsu, 10% off. I had a little bit of a different...
You had a story. That's right. We forgot your story.
I've done two different things. Shut it. So I had a friend come from out of town, and so we had a few drinks. I'm not a big drinker at all. I actually, as I've gotten older...
Says the guy with, I walk in, and what is he... he's got bourbon waiting for us. It's like, I don't drink that much, but hey, here's another bottle of bourbon.
So, honestly, I came to one of the sessions that was pretty tough. We rolled a lot, and I used it then. And then I felt decent. And then also, I drank a little bit one night. And the next morning it was a little under the alcohol weather, a little hungover. And so I was like, perfect opportunity. So I drank some that morning, and I actually did feel better. I liked it. It was good. It doesn't taste horrible. It tastes actually tastes pretty good, really good. I like the flavors. They have all kinds of flavors. And the other thing is for me is it's made here in the States.
It's made up in Ohio.
Yeah, in Ohio, Cincinnati. I'm like, they're fairly local, so I like that. It was good. I really enjoyed their stuff. So you guys can check their stuff out, drinkhoist.com. Yep.
Also, big thanks to our sponsor, Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web gave us a new product to try. So this is their THC free, which has 0.000001.
It's 0.01.
Yeah, it's whatever. Is that what it is?
0.01.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's like 100 or something, right?
100, yeah.
100.
Math is hard.
Yeah. I'm a bit of an exaggerator, but so basically, it's considered THC free. It has such a small amount that they have to put the word probably. Won't be a problem.
Yeah, it's unlikely you will test
positive
for THC. However, It does have other really good stuff like CBG, some of these other cannabinoid things that are really, really good for you. So
I'm going to give it a whirl. I use CBD obviously, but I'm going to try this one out and see if I notice any difference over the next couple weeks, and I'll let you guys know. But if you want to check it out, this version of it, you can go to charlesweb.com and you can use the promo code Jiu-Jitsu and save 15% on your order. But I'll try it out and let you guys know what I find. And then also big thanks to our sponsor, Epic Roll, Matt. If someone was actually asking me the other day on Instagram where this shirt is, it's like kind of like one of those
seek and finds,
right? Like where it's got submissions.
I've got the Tom DeBlass little conspiracy theory one. It's one of my favorites.
Like my girlfriend, we were sitting eating dinner the other day, and she was like trying. She was distracted. She was like looking for the submissions on it. But again, I'm a big fan of Matt's stuff. So if you want to check out any of his gear, whether it's his gis, his rash guards, or his Velcro-less shorts, which I'm working on because I want to get some made for Jiu-Jitsu because it's like my favorite shorts to wear right now. They're so comfortable.
They're cool.
They're super comfortable for wearing for no-gi. They don't get in the way. You can check him out at epicrollbjj.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu and save 15% on the order. And if you guys want any sort of behind-the-scenes stuff that we do from time to time, you can go to patreon.com/the Jiu-Jitsu podcast, and we've got a little thing set up. Oh,
one more. A new one.
We got all kinds of good
new ball trimmer coming your way.
So
this is a big day for sponsors. Thank you guys. And we love our sponsors, and we thank you guys for supporting us for sure, and helping to grow the podcast, because I think you guys are a big part of that. Look at Chewy unboxing.
I'm unboxing it. So this thing's actually super.
Turn it on, dude. Ah, look at that. Look at the light.
I'm gonna get my own.
Oh, dude, be careful.
Just be a big pile of hair. It's a super nice trimmer. So again, I've talked about this one on the podcast a bunch. It's a good trimmer. I can use it for my beard. You can get it in the shower and you use it. My girlfriend uses it to. I get like a hairy back hairy tuft back, and she uses it, and it's got whatever they call it, the skin safe technology. But basically, you're not going to nick yourself with the damn thing. So I've got an old school set of trimmers that I have, which are plug them in and everything else. And that thing I got to be careful because she's cut me a couple times. These she can run these down, and so she has no problem with it. She hasn't cut me at all. And I like this little light. It's helpful.
I think you can turn it on. This is the 4.0. It just came out with it, so you can turn it on and off.
I haven't read the instructions yet.
I don't know yet. We were playing with it, and it's got different. It's got a guard. It's got different lengths you can shave to.
So I use that thing. I use that thing from as we've said, for B2B. From my balls to my beard. You can use it for whatever you want to. It's a nice product.
It's awesome. Yeah, I like it.
I was impressed with it. Initially, I was kind of like, meh. And then I used it, and I was like, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's handy.
It says designed for groin grooming, but I've used that thing on my beard just fine. So, again, if you want to check it out, you can go to manscaped.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu. You save, or Jiu-Jitsu20, sorry. 20% off the order, and you get free shipping as well on any of their products.
All right. Well, you're here for the podcast. We're getting into it.
So what's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everybody's able to get a little training in. It feels like things are opening up in more and more places. Although did you see that thing I posted the other day?
Oh, about the hugs?
The cautious hugs. It said in the UK that they allow cautious hugging now. I was like, what the hell's a cautious hug?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, dude, I'll read them to you.
We cautiously hug all the time. By the way, I have to give a shout out to Crepe, who's from France. Crepe is from France.
What?
Crepe.
Crepe. Okay. Is, yeah.
What's that thing over the E? What's that called?
I don't know. We're Americans. We're so stupid.
What's going on? But yeah, crepe. That's a perfect name for you.
So I'm going to give you the thing about cautious hugging.
All right, cautious hugging. Here we go.
Basically, so check this out. So it says it's because I was reading this because I thought it was just like a headline. I was like, oh no, they're serious.
Yeah.
How to cautiously hug in the pandemic. Basically, so it was the person, this expert, was talking.
Expert?
Yeah, expert.
Expert hugger?
I don't know. No, some some person saying what it's allowed to do. It says, quote, kids who are eligible, and I'm not going to go into the COVID stuff, so this is I'm just having fun with this because I feel like it's like a South Park episode. Kids who aren't eligible for vaccines yet and are short enough can hug their vaccinated loved ones around the waist.
Short enough?
Yeah, so they can hug around the waist. And then if you're unvaccinated teens probably won't want to crouch down to anyone, so they should keep a mask on while they hug and tilt their face away while they're hugging someone. This is my favorite one. It says, quote, I think two vaccinated people can sit on a couch together.
I think so too. I agree.
Oh man. I was running around the gym giving very uncautious hugs. I'm a hugger too, so it's a problem.
Dude, we choke each other for fun. There's no cautious jiu-jitsu. We should make a video on that.
Yeah, but
spoof
even
video.
then, I'm just like, I'm a hugger, dude. I like hugging people.
know.
So like when I see people, I'm like the fist bump stuff. I never did the fist bump. I was like, whatever. I'm
Bring it in.
I'm bring it in here.
Bring it in.
Let me get my bear paws on you. So yeah, today's podcast, guys, is sort of based upon recently Gordon Ryan is a G. I was close. Gordon Ryan was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about the thing. About the gi being phased out over the next 10 years, right? So like the gi being phased out from competition, that sort of thing. And the jiu-jitsu world erupted with some pretty funny memes.
I'll read the quote. It's right there. So it says,
go ahead and read it.
Honestly, that's dying in America. In the next 10 years, the gi is pretty much going to be phased out. No gi is the way of the future. And it says Gordon Ryan on gi competition. So that leaves a little bit to be, interpreted. Yeah. So that's kind of the main thing. And Gordon Ryan's got, obviously what he says. He's probably the best no-gi grappler.
Absolutely. He's
I
amazing.
think of all time
He's
already.
Amazing. He's an amazing grappler.
And what he says, you got to listen to what he says. He's a very polarizing personality, and obviously being on Joe Rogan, it's a huge podcast, a huge platform for him to share that. And so a lot of people were like, "Oh, what does this mean?"
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to unpack. I think there's definitely a lot to talk about here. So. I mean, what do you think? When you heard that, what was like your response or your reaction?
Well, see, here's where I was getting at that is when I heard that, I was like, people were talking about this when I first started. Because when I first started, like first off, pretty much almost always, with a few exceptions, no-gi jiu-jitsu has always been the premier, highest paying one. So whenever you wanted to make money, you did no-gi jiu-jitsu. Like back in the day when I was competing, some of the bigger tournaments, you would see like $3,000 cash prizes, which, I mean, again, doesn't seem like much now, but back in the day, 3,000 cash prizes, you were getting 80cc level matches. Like at the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
You were getting 80cc.
Big time.
I remember watching Jeff Munson and Pedapano, which that was an 80cc finals repeat. I remember watching Saulo Ribeiro and like Marcelo Garcia.
Was that the one where the fight broke out with Pedapano and
so I was there for
Jeff
that.
Munson?
Yeah. So again, watching like 80cc level matches, and they're going for three Gs, right? That was what it was back then, and that was for no gi. There was no such prize money for the gi. You just didn't see it. And it was always one of these things where they talked about it, like, you eventually have to take the gi off to compete and make some money, right?
Yeah.
You compete in the gi too, but you would for sponsorships and stuff like that. But when you want to win some money, you got to go no gi.
So why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know yet. But what I'm going to say is that it's always been this thing where everybody kind of was already sort of prophesizing the phasing out of the kimono.
Okay.
But it never happened. And I think that, again, no-gi has become more and more popular. And I like that because, to be honest, when I was a white belt and they were talking about the gi being done with, I was like, I'm with you. Because I hated the thing. I hated wearing the gi. I was a wrestler. So coming in and putting on the kimono, I hated wearing that stupid thing. Now I'm a little different. I kind of like it. I like the gi. It's like a different flavor.
Okay.
It's a different flavor of jiu-jitsu. I'm actually still much better in no-gi. I believe. I think
you're much better.
I think I'm considerably better.
That's a scary thought.
I think I'm considerably better in no-gi than I am gi because I think that for my style, I hate getting hung up in like lapel grips and stuff like that. I can deal with them, and I do just fine in the gi. But when you look at like when my competitions and stuff like that, I have a much higher percentage of submissions in no-gi because there's less to get tangled up in, right?
Sure.
And so again, I was let's go, but it didn't happen. And I don't think that, I think the big problem with the gi ever being phased out completely, I'm not saying that that no-gi will not necessarily continue to become more and more popular and be the predominant like competition sort of focus or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think you're still going to see the gi in a lot of places simply for the fact that, one, people like the gi. There's lots of people that like the gi. You talk to any older person that's having to roll with a bunch of young whippersnappers.
Yeah.
They love that damn thing because they can hang on to them.
Right.
And a lot of people love the gi, this extension that they can become creative with.
Yes.
And you also then get a chance where, with the gi, you don't have a centralized governing body, and I think that's the big thing. Unless there's some centralized governing body saying this is how we do jiu-jitsu, right? Like judo does. Right.
Exactly.
This is how we do judo. This is how judo competitions operate. Then basically that allows for jiu-jitsu to go in whatever damn direction it wants to. And this is, by the way, one of the reasons why I don't really like the idea of jiu-jitsu being an Olympic sport, because if it was to have a centralized governing body, then we would be subjected to one particular rule set, right? Because then because the Olympics would be the thing. Whereas right now it's like, well, we have ADCC, we've got IBJJF, we've got like the fight to wins and the submission onlys, we've got who's number one, we've got all these different formats, the EBIs, and they each have slightly different adjustments to the rules and the points and everything else. And I like that because you get to see these different creative versions, and you get to see like different people that thrive in different environments and they struggle in other environments, or sometimes they thrive in all the environments. It's just fun to watch, and it allows for a lot of different flavors of jiu-jitsu rather than being stuck with here's what you get, like this is it. And I think that as long as there's not a governing body that says that this is how we're doing things, and as long as jiu-jitsu does not really, I mean, it's more viable now to make money doing jiu-jitsu than it used to be, but until it's like really like until it's like a regular sport where there's a very good chance you could probably get in there if you're good to make some money. Until it's like that, then again, because like let's say for instance one organization was able to pay a fair amount of grapplers a living wage just to grapple, well then everybody's going to be going for that, and so that's what's going to become the predominant one, right? But until that happens, or until you have a governing body, it's going to just be all over the place.
So why do you think? And I have some opinions. I'll ask you first. Why do you think the no gi is the big money maker? What's in your opinion? Why do you think it's more popular? I mean, I have a couple ideas. I'll let you say it first, and I'll see if we agree, disagree.
For me, I've always found no gi a little bit more exciting because of the fact that there's less grips, there's less to hang on to, and I think that you typically see, not always, but when you get people going after it, you typically, to me, the submissions seem to be a little bit more prevalent.
Yeah.
But that's not always true. Honestly, that's not necessarily true because that really comes down to the people. A lot of times, like, when you can watch some competitors, whether it's gi, no gi, whatever, submission only, points based, they're always going after the submission. And then you'll watch some guys that'll somehow just skirt the edge of the rules just to get by. But I think that sometimes when you add in things like lapels and like 50-50 and you can't heel hook, like in the gi and stuff like that, it makes the matches incredibly boring and they just get stalemate. I think the gi honestly would be a little bit more exciting if you did some things, kind of like judo or wrestling. So for instance, in wrestling, here's a great example. In wrestling, in high school wrestling for like in the United States, we cannot lock our hands together. Maybe this has changed, but when you're on the ground wrestling, you cannot lock your hands together.
I know that.
Because they don't want you to stall. Because they don't want you to get down there and just hug on someone. They want to give that person an opportunity to escape, and they want you to be active, right? In wrestling, if you start backing up, you get called for a stalling call real quick. Where in jiu-jitsu, not so much. I think gi jiu-jitsu would be pretty friggin' exciting if they would basically create breaks in it. Like we're saying, okay, we got caught in 50-50 and neither one of you guys can heel hook, which takes away one of the big weapons of 50-50. Let's give it a certain amount of time, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds. If nothing happens, let's get back up. Let's mix it back up. Let's get going, right? Because you'll see matches where literally the competitors, there was one with, I think it was Urbith and Buchecha, where Buchecha's literally like laying there.
I remember that.
And he's frustrated and he's just sitting there like this. To me, it would have been like, this sucks because you have these two really tough competitors. Let's break them up and just let them go again. You see that a lot of times in judo where if they're on the ground too long, they break it. I'm not saying do that because, the ground is where we live. But I think that at the same time, you got to say, hey, listen, guys, like the clock is ticking. You got to go. Like we can't sit here and do nothing forever. And I think sometimes when you get into some of those really slow moving positions, like a 50-50 with no heel hook, or like this lapel guard that's been wrapped around, like, again, I think it's like maybe put some sort of time restriction on it or something. Again, but then that becomes a problem because that's how some people play. They play that methodical game and chip away at the person. And I think you need to do away with advantages too, either points or no points.
I think so. My thinking on why no-gi is a little more popular, it's just a nicer viewing experience. Like there's less stalling. You can't stall because you can't grip, right? So less stalling there. I mean, you can always stall, but you're less likely. It's just harder to stall.
Harder.
You're a little more slippery, right? You do have the leg lock entanglement. A lot of the leg locks aren't part of the game. in gi, but you can do a lot of other things in the gi, right? With the lapel stuff. I think if you're not familiar with that, if you're someone that's just going from MMA, watching MMA to watching no gi, it translates more, right? You can kind of see some similar positions. When you're watching gi, it can be a slower pace. However, you go and watch the Masters, you watch some of these older dudes, they're going after it. They're like, we've talked about the Masters. Some of these guys at the Masters, they're just going and they're fighting hard to finish. And so I think, like, again, it depends. But the other thing is the ADCC. That's the gold standard. The ADCC is like, that's like you're an ADCC champion. That's like the top of the food chain there, right?
It always has been.
It always has
always
been.
has been.
And that's no gi.
Yeah.
So that's it. Like, if you want to be an ADCC
and why
champion,
is that?
What do you mean why?
Why is it such a big deal?
I mean, it's always been. I mean, because
But why?
The rule said
The money.
The
They
money,
pay out
true,
the money,
true,
bro.
yeah,
I mean, that was the thing. Everybody was, everybody wanted the money, so they're like, "This is the place where you can win the biggest prize money."
Yes.
So that's what you're gonna do.
Look at a perfect example, and not even winning, you get third place. Look at Lachlan, right? Yeah. Lachlan gets third place, starts popping out all these instructionals and stuff,
and also because of what happened, because he submitted two like really large dudes, right?
And the rule set's kind of exciting, and
it can be, but the rule set can also be incredibly boring. So, like, if you go back and watch some of the old ADCCs, you would watch these awful matches, because if you're not familiar with the ADCC point system, is basically the first half of the match there are no points, and this is done to encourage people to try stuff. Now, some people take advantage of this, and you'll see some guys just go after it in that first half, but sometimes what people do is they basically play safe and they literally do nothing.
They do nothing for 5 minutes.
Right, and then they'll start kicking it on when it's time for the points. And back in the day, you used to see terrible matches where literally you would see nothing and they'd get a takedown and they'd win off that. Whereas I feel like now and more you're seeing in most cases, you're seeing more of an aggressive pace put on during competitions and matches. I think you're seeing more of an aggressive pace put on. And but again, it's a prestigious tournament, and it always has been since I was a brand new newbie in jiu-jitsu. Like, ADCC was the thing, and it was, when you saw the ADCC champions, I mean, it's very infrequent, it's very prestigious, it's a big deal, right? Like, the world championships come every year. There's still relatively few amount of them,
I see what you're
but
saying.
ADCC is like fewer weight classes, like fewer competitions, more money, more people are vying to get in there. It's a big deal. Always has been. And I think another reason why you're saying about like people, like why it's enjoyable, I think it's enjoyable especially for people like Americans to watch, because again, like you said, we didn't grow up watching, like we don't grow up in a culture, like for instance, like we don't grow up in a culture of judo, right, where the kimono is very normal. Say Japan, they grew up with the kimono, right?
Sure.
Or at least they know what it is, right? You showed an American that, they're like, "Is that you going to do karate with that? What is that?" Like they don't know. But UFC, we can see this, right? So then when you watch the ADCC, it's like, oh, it's like you took out the punches and the kicks. Yep. Very, very similar, right? And getting back to it, without the friction in the gi to hang on to, there's a lot more movement. You can move around, you can do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Look, like, here's the one thing as far as it dying off or not dying off. It depends on what's the influx of new jiu-jitsu practitioners, right? Mm-hmm. Are they young? Are they old? Is a little bit of both? Like, what's the purpose? Like, before, like when you started training, even when I started training, most people were going to jiu-jitsu to fight. So no gi was a big thing because it translated into fighting.
But it wasn't, though, because like when I first started anyway, maybe it was different when you got in. When I first started, we had one no gi day a week, and we were told that to get good at no gi, you had to do more gi. Because
I heard that too. That's
the gi makes you tighter, right?
Makes your move tighter. Yeah.
And I think there are some advantages to the gi as far as like learning how to slow your pace down a little bit, being a little bit more thoughtful, because you have to be sometimes because you got grips all over you. I think it could be useful for it. But I mean, if you want to get good at no gi, you got to be focused on no gi. This is as simple as that, right?
I agree with that.
Because it's a different thing. Like I remember I started to question that argument when I was a purple belt and I would roll with some of these MMA guys, and I was technically better than them. But damn it, like they were so squirmy, and I wasn't used to just using my body to apply pressure. Yeah. So I was always used to having handles and stuff, right? And they would just start wigging out and trying to get away from me. And a lot of times they would, because I didn't have the proper placement with my body. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about no-gi is you learn how to use just you to apply the pressure, to get the grips and everything else that you can use. And you can translate those grips perfectly over to no-gi, no problem. Or to gi, excuse me, to gi, no problem. It's one of those things where I had to learn how to do that. So that was what was told to me, but obviously learn it's not real. Now, like in the gym, we have we're half and half basically.
Yep.
Gi and no-gi, we're half and half. We do them all the way. And it's funny because a lot of my no-gi classes have gotten bigger. More and more people want to do no-gi. Now, we still have big gi classes, and a lot of people still do it, and a lot of people still love the gi.
Yeah.
But the no-gi classes have definitely gotten bigger. They used to be tiny. The no-gi classes used to be the small ones. Now they're the big ones.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just the popularity of competitions and no-gi is becoming more and more the thing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more. There's a lot more just no-gi, exclusive no-gi tournaments. Like,
well, when you think of professional jiu-jitsu, what does that look like to you? What are they wearing?
Man,
I understand, but when you say like professional show, what are you thinking?
Professional show, well, probably like you're thinking Fight to Win, who's number one,
right?
ADCC.
And when most of the time when you see those guys compete, what are they competing in?
It's no-gi.
No-gi, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I think that like, for that professional level, it's pretty much it's been that way for a long time. Like whenever you would see like the guys like really get into, I mean, you'd still see the gi and stuff and the mundials and then the worlds and stuff. But when you were like watching like the ADCC and stuff, the top level, it was always no-gi.
But, I think like you're solidified as a, like gi world champion, like IBJJF world. That was like the thing for a long time.
Well, it's still a thing. It's a
like,
huge deal.
That's like that's
deal.
One of the accomplishments. I mean, you still look at some of these guys that have never done ADCC. I don't think Bernardo ever has, but he's been, world champion numerous times, and he's one of the greats. And you see a lot of these guys. I don't know if Buchecha ever. I don't think he's ever won ADCC. Has he?
I don't know.
I think he's primarily.
He maybe won his weight class, or maybe because I know he made it to the finals against Gordon Ryan. I know he made it to the finals of against Cyborg. I don't know if that was in the open or in the whatever. But
I primarily like him. I think he's won 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
He's won the gi. I think world champion 10 times or at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember him having a ton of like.
Well, there's also guys like Rodolfo who's won the IBJJF World Championships, but then he got heel hooked in by Dean Lister in the later on the year in the ADCC.
Yeah,
and again, but here's the thing. Here's another thing I think, and this is just sort of off topic, but there's this derogatory comment that gets thrown around where people say, "Oh, you're only good in the gi," or "You're only good in the no gi." It's a stupid argument. It's like, so what? Like, this is what I like playing. This is the jiu-jitsu I like competing in. This is what I do.
It's jiu-jitsu.
Right. It's jiu-jitsu. This is my flavor of jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't go up to the store like, man, you're lame. You only like chocolate ice cream. It's what you like. It's what you like eating. I like this one, right? Whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's this funny thing where like somehow I'm supposed to agree with you that you have the whatever. It's like people just go different directions and they specialize in different things. It's like even like when you look at the roots of judo and the roots of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, back in the day, you'd have like guys who were specialists in newaza, the groundwork, and you had special guys who were specialists in the stand-up, that they just found their different little niches everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing now, you find guys that just work better in certain forms of the gi versus no gi, things like that. But I don't think it's a bad or good thing. It just is.
When a lot of people get into jiu-jitsu initially, you usually start in the gi. I mean, a lot, not like 10th Planet, but a lot of these like traditional BJJ gyms is like, I mean, the first class I took was gi class.
Yeah, even our beginner classes now are done in the gi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why do you see an advantage, disadvantage? I mean, I think you have people do both, obviously, but it can be overwhelming too. Like I'm thinking, like you think about all this stuff in the gi, and then you got to think about all this stuff in no gi. It's like, oh, I'm learning these grips, and I have to forget about these grips and use different grips. Like it can be overwhelming to people that maybe don't have any clue about jiu-jitsu at all.
Yeah, but if it gets overwhelming, just deal with it. I mean, it's like anytime you get into anything new, it's going to be overwhelming. You just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
Like, so what? Like, I mean, everything's overwhelming. Like when you had a kid, I bet that stuff was real overwhelming, right? Like all of a sudden you're just like this, you're experiencing all this stuff for the first time. You don't go, man, I can't deal with this damn kid. Can we get rid of this one? Like, I mean, you just deal with it. Yeah. It's just what it is. Like Jess and I, we bought the house. We got all this land, and now we're like looking at all this different stuff, and we're going to plant this garden. We're going to get some chickens and stuff, and it's a lot to deal with.
Yep.
So what? Deal with it. That's life, right? Anytime you get into something new, you get into a new adventure, it's going to be overwhelming for a little bit. It's okay. You just stick through for a little bit, and over time, it sort of dies down, right?
Do you think maybe doing, and this is just, I'm just kind of thinking stuff
Yeah, yeah,
through.
yeah.
Do you think it's maybe beneficial to, like, if you start in the gi, just stick with the gi for a bit and then hop into no gi and start incorporating no gi a little more? Do you think there's any?
I don't think it matters, man.
Don't think so?
I think. See, the thing is one of the things that I that we teach. I don't really get too. I mean, there's some specific gi stuff that they'll learn, but we don't get too gi specific early on, right? We learn the gi, we use the gi, we'll like cross collar grips.
Sure.
We'll say cross collar, then you can grab the neck, this kind of stuff. But I mean, really, we do it because of just traditionalism, just being traditional.
Yeah.
Just like we just teach in the gi, and it's for nothing other than that's just what we do. Like I don't hate the gi. I have no problem with the gi. I like training in it.
I like doing both.
There are some. I mean, I know some people poo-poo on it, but there are some actual like off the mat applications for it. If you understand how to do a cross collar choke, you can. It's pretty insane how well that works with like even just a thick collared shirt
or a t-shirt.
A t-shirt. I mean, but even one of my buddies back in the day used to bounce, and like, if some guy got in his face, he would put him in an Ezekiel choke with wristbands, right?
My God.
He had 2 wristbands, and basically, if some dude got in his face, he would just put him out for a second.
Yeah.
Which probably
awesome.
isn't the best thing, right? But again, the learning how to manipulate fabric as an extension of your body has some application off the mat.
Yeah.
It's not. Again, there's some funky stuff that we do that has nothing to do with self-defense, but it has some applications in there.
I agree.
For us that have done the suit rolling, we quickly learned, oh man, if I fought a dude with like a jacket or a shirt on, like there's a lot that I can do with that sucker that comes from jiu-jitsu,
It makes me rethink wearing a tie ever.
Yeah, right? Like
Ever.
clip on.
But dude, I mean, seriously, you've never worn, if you've done suit rolling, you wear a tie, I mean, you're like basically getting choked right away.
Yeah, you get rid of
that's
that
the
thing.
first thing
It's
to go
dangerous.
for.
You gotta cut that
So if
thing
you're
off.
getting in a street fight with somebody, you better take your tie off.
Take it off.
Right away.
But so I mean, again, it's one of these things where we can poo-poo on things, but it is what we do. It's what we do, and I don't see anything negative about it. I don't think that rolling in the gi has any like sort of awful downside. It's not like it's somehow going to hurt you or put you in a bad place or whatever. It's just another style of jiu-jitsu. Now, if for some reason, like for instance, I have students who have told me like I don't want to train in the gi, I'm all right with that. I'll still promote you. You'll still get like your blue rank or whatever, or your purple rank. I'll still promote you. I don't care. Like you choose the jiu-jitsu you want. I like doing both. I grew up doing both, and I enjoy them both.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I like this one more, that's fine with me. And I encourage people to do both because I think there's an interesting thing of this crossover where, like for instance, with the gi, you learn all these different grips and stuff like that, and it causes you to think sometimes a little bit more. Sometimes to slow the action down. For me, at least, it did that because I was a wrestler. I came in with that wrestling pace, and I had handles all over me. It got me in trouble. So I had to be a little bit more thoughtful about my approaches and positions. And then in the no-gi, you then can be much more focused on just your body. And I think learning how to use just your body, not relying too heavily on grips, is important. Because then if you take those two and meld them together, I think it's useful. And I think one thing, if you're like me and you're one of those people that likes to bounce around back and forth between them, don't make your game dependent upon a grip.
Agree, yeah.
Right? Like, again, it's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with knowing them and playing around with them. I'll play around with lapels and stuff like that. But my game is not specific to the gi. Pretty much everything in it that I use my A game, pretty much anything of that A game can be translated from one to the other.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. That having that ability for it to bounce back and forth. Like, I mean, you don't have to, if you train gi primarily, you should, for the most part, I mean, you have to make some adjustments. You should be able to transition to no gi. You may not be as good, but you should have, your game should not be that much off.
Yeah.
But again, if you heavily rely, like I like the cross collar grip. I use that a lot. You got to switch it up. I have to do different things. Head control, different positions, wrist control. I mean, I do different things. And I just do that automatically because I know the grip's not there. But, I think for me, I'm more comfortable in the gi. And it's because the way my schedule fell. There was more gi classes offered when I started training.
Yep.
And my schedule fell in a certain way that I could make the gi classes more often than I could make the no gi.
Yeah, and you also got pretty good with it. You got good with like loop chokes.
Yeah, I
and things like
liked
that.
it. And you find stuff, you fall into certain positions, certain things you like to do, and you kind of go down that path a little bit because you're good at it, or you should enjoy it. I mean, if you have success in something, you're going to stick with it.
Of course.
I'm sure if I did no-gi and had a little more success with that, I would probably enjoy that as well. And I mean, I think the popularity again when you look at the the leg lock game. There's so many. It's just like with the lapel, right? There's so many things you can start doing with the lapel. Look at no gi.
So many things you can do
with
with
the
the
leg
legs.
entanglement,
Yeah.
and then you can transition, and then you start playing with rule sets, submission only, combat, jiu-jitsu. You start playing with these rule sets and stuff, and it makes it kind of fun. I think the main thing, going back to what Gordon was talking about, I think for the competition, for like viewership, for popularity wise, like the gi is always going to be there, but like the money, because of the excitement, the eyeballs, it's always going to be no gi.
Yeah.
I just think it's more visually appealing to people in this faster pace, and people don't like sitting there watching two people being 50-50, just scissoring each other, kind of thing.
Now, like I said, I think that again, like for instance, if you've ever watched a judo matches are kind of exciting.
They are now,
Like,
because they changed the rule set.
They've changed the rule set where basically like you're going to see something. Like they got rid of certain types of grip breaks, certain types of grips you can use, basically getting rid of all the things that could create passivity. So I think the gi could be potentially, and I don't even think you have to do that much with it. I think you could spruce up a few things, basically give limitations to certain positions, and the gi would become far more interesting to watch. And I think if you shorten the rounds down, 10 minutes is just too long to me. Like I think in a lot of cases,
is that adult? What's 10 minutes?
10 minutes adult. Yeah.
A black belt 10?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like 8.
I think it's a brown belt. Adult brown belt is 8.
Wow.
I even think like a lot of the ADCC matches, like 20 minutes, 40 minutes. Like what are you going to do for 40 minutes? To me, it's like watch like Olympic wrestling. Like it's not a long match, but they go. Right, like they're just going, right? Like basically we're condensing all that time, and we're basically saying you got this much time to go, right? And there was like, for instance, like it was like the Abu Dhabi Pro Trials or whatever. Some of their matches were like 6 or 7 minutes, bro. They were friggin' getting after it. There was no like filling out process, because as a high level black belt, all these dudes can go hard for 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was just like whomp, turn on the burners, and they're just going after each other. I think that's if you wanted to make jiu-jitsu exciting, lessen the timers down, and like make sure that like again, just you make people go. So listen, this is how much time you got. Like even like when we were doing when I was doing like the ACC trials, like it was a 6-minute match, 3 and 3, right, with an overtime if possible. The matches were fun to watch because you got 6 minutes. You got nothing. You don't have a lot of time to work, so you got to be super super aggressive. And I like that. To me, it's like when you look at wrestling, like in high school wrestling, I wrestled 6 minutes. In the Olympics, it's not like they jump it up to 12 minutes, right? You just have to go better. You have to go faster, right? The rules change obviously from what we do in like high school wrestling, folk style wrestling, to freestyle. But the time limit's not some double. You didn't double the time limit. You just made people go faster, and I think that's one of the things that I think is kind of a negative thing, because a lot of times, because here's the deal. Let's say you have a potentially 20-minute match. I don't know of anyone.
You're going to pace yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know anyone that can just go wide open for 20 minutes, right? And so what they do is they kind of pace themselves, and there's this feeling out process and everything else. I think if you said from the get-go, listen, here's how much time you got. You have a time, because let's say that, for instance, you go into that 20-minute match and you go 100% trying to finish. If you don't finish them, you're going to come up short. You're going to be tired, and you're going to get finished. So most people pace themselves. It was like some of those old Metamoris matches. Remember those?
Yeah, they're like 20 minutes.
They're 20 minutes, no time limit, no judges' decisions. There's a draw otherwise. Right. So like, there were some guys that would go after it, and some guys wouldn't. And a lot of guys didn't go after it, because again, there's no incentive. Like why? Because there's no loser if it's a draw. And so you got to have that loser winner, and you've got to, like, to me, it's better to shorten the time down. So this way you get people say, listen, you're not going to run out of gas within this time period. You might get caught, but you're not going to run. It's
going to be exciting.
It's not going to be any gas. I think you make the matches more exciting. So I think there's a few things that could be done in jiu-jitsu that they could take from other grappling arts without messing it up too much, where you could still make it exciting. And I think you'd have to be harder on stalling calls too.
Yeah.
You can't, like, because like you'll watch, like, for instance, if you watch an IBJJF match, I'm fine with the IBJJF, by the way, but there's some things I don't like. You'll watch guys and they'll literally backpedal. I've seen it. I saw this one year, man. It made me sick. Because to me, it's just like it's a weak way to play. They'd slap hands, bump fist, and let's say one guy's up 2 points. That guy that's up 2 points literally backs up to the edge of the mat. So this way, at any point, he can just bounce out.
Well, if he gets taken down, it doesn't count.
Right, exactly. Or anything happens, he can just bounce out and then reset. To me, it's like if that person does that once, they get a warning, and then they start getting stalling calls. And to me, it's just that kind of stuff that creates passivity because you're not making people stand their ground and fight it out. And I think that's a negative thing. And I think that you would have to be more aggressive on that kind of stuff. I think you could do certain things like that and breaking up weird positions from time to time that would simply allow for more exciting matches. And if you shorten down the time limit a little bit, you could make the gi far more exciting rather than letting guys get tangled up and then they get into these positions that they basically don't move for 3 or 4 minutes. And then someone teeter-totters over, and then, hey, we got a winner.
We played with something in the morning class. We had no-gi today, but something in the morning class we did. It's only an hour, so we do technique, and some of the technique takes 35, 40 minutes. So we get shorter, like maybe 20 minutes to roll. And so whenever we have an odd number, like I like to shorten the rounds because I don't want anybody sitting for 5-6 minutes. So we'll like do threes.
Yeah.
We'll do threes sometimes. And we did threes and we're just
Pace
killing each other,
Pace
man. We're just trying to murder each other. And then you get like, somebody sits out just for 3 minutes but you're no breaks.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes, next person, 3 minutes, and you're just going. And then like everybody's so tired. Or we'll do pass defend and we'll do like a minute and a half, just pass it. So, dude, if you get swept, who cares? You start right over. So there's no, there's really the risk. You're not going to get stuck underneath somebody for 5 minutes. So
and you also know you only got a couple minutes to work.
Yeah, it's
right?
fun.
It's like this is something where, I noticed this as a coach, and you don't even have to explicitly tell anyone. I remember like literally like one day we were in class, this is years ago. I had like this thing, I was just like
random times.
All right, guys, it is going to be and I'm doing this, I'm swiping on my phone.
Yep.
7-minute match. All right, 7 minutes. And then it's going to be a 1-minute match. And you watch people roll for 1 minute and they're way more aggressive.
Yeah.
Because they've only got 1 minute, and you can think about, and so I think it's a good thing to do is to mix those rounds up. And so you can feel the intensity difference between a longer round versus a shorter round. And I think that if you want to make it more exciting, more palatable to the masses, well, then you got to make it more exciting. You got to make the movement happen. And again, you got to make the time limit shorter. Having a long matches that people can't possibly, or maybe do rounds or something, right? Like say, okay, you got a 6-minute match. Like instead of doing like a 20-minute match, like a 20-minute round, say, all right, we're going to have like multiple 5s or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that, but I'm just saying it's like you can't expect to like for these matches to be fun and exciting to watch all the time when you have these long matches. I mean, there's plenty of ADCC matches this past year that weren't very fun back in 2019 that weren't fun to watch because again, they're in that 20-minute match and it's kind of boring to watch sometimes because they don't want to really go for anything because they don't have to and because the time limit's so long. You don't want to come up short. And so I think that even some of those can be boring from time to time.
Yeah, the time limit's not something I actually thought of, and that's a great idea.
Like go watch organization I really like watching is like Fight to Win.
I love their stuff. Yeah.
Typically their matches are a bit shorter, right? Most of their matches are a bit shorter, like usually 6-7 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
They might have 10 minutes for the adults and stuff like that, or like for the bigger matches. But like I like some of those ones where they have these shorter matches. And there's no points or whatever, but they do score, and someone's going to win and lose. And you generally see some pretty fun matches to watch.
See some slams.
You see some fun stuff to watch. Gi or no gi, like they're just going after stuff because again, it's a short time period. I think that a lot of times the rules and the time make it far more can play more on it than just the gi or the no gi itself. Like for instance, you go watch a judo match. It's been so adjusted with the rules that basically everything is geared to get the big throw. And you could have some person that has no idea what they're watching, and they're going to see someone get thumped on the ground, and they're going to like, ooh, that was exciting, right? Just like it's like the knockout in boxing. It's climactic,
right?
And even in jiu-jitsu, a person that doesn't know a whole lot about it, when they see someone getting choked, they know what that is. Everybody can notice that, or if they see some dude like wincing in pain as he's getting heel hooked, they know what that is. They can say, ooh, he just got caught in something.
Yeah,
that was bad, right? We could all see that, especially with people watching UFC and stuff. But if the rules don't sort of help spur the action, that's the big problem. So I think the gi will always be around. I don't think it's going to become obsolete. I think that as long as people are training in it, I think that people are always going to want to compete in it because they're going to want to, well, hey, this is what I like doing. But as far as it being like no gi being sort of the premier thing, it kind of always has been at least it has been for a long time, at least in the United States. It's been kind of the premier thing. If you wanted to make money grappling, no gi was what you had to do. I mean, granted, you could always compete in gi and get sponsorships, but we were talking about actual prize money. The prize money typically was in the no gi competitions, not the gi ones. They were there from time to time, but you typically saw more in the no gi, and the bigger ones that I can recall of were always in the no gi.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. And the time limits, like you said, that's a good point. And if they're stalling, limit that. Adjusting the rule sets, all those things I think can help. And the other thing, when I think about, is it cyclical, right? Is it like the gi is going to be popular, then no gi is going to be popular, and it's going to kind of go just like leg locks are popular, then something else will be popular. We'll go back and forth. I don't know. It depends on what people jump into. Who knows?
The gi becomes like a relic of the past that nobody uses, and then some like hipster pulls it out of just wears it to be ironic, and then it becomes a thing again.
Yeah. I think some of it deals with like relevancy. Like, is it relevant to
depends on what you're doing.
Martial arts? Yeah. Is it relevant to self-defense? I think it is. Is it? I think there's use and there's function for it. It just depends on what are your goals for starting jiu-jitsu therapy. Yeah. Starting jiu-jitsu. Is it
you were like it was like
my brain.
You were doing like a therapy
my
session.
brain's broken.
You probably worked with do you work with a client earlier?
No. Okay. So to me it's like, what's your goals, right? Is your goal to be a hobbyist, learn how to defend yourself, learn some chokes and stuff, have fun with that way? Cool. You're not going to compete. You're never going to be, making money, because that's not your bread and butter. That's not what you're doing. But on the other hand, if you want to make money, if you're like, I'm getting into jiu-jitsu because I want to be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, you're going to be a no-gi guy.
Yeah.
Or girl.
What's funny is years ago, like I remember, because I got into jiu-jitsu because I wanted to fight. That's why I got into it. I wanted to fight MMA, so I started doing jiu-jitsu. I also wanted to compete in jiu-jitsu, so I was like, well, because where I was going to college at the time did not have wrestling, and so I was like, well, I want to do something, and so I started doing jiu-jitsu for competitions and fighting. What's interesting is a lot of the fighters back then would like poo-poo on me for wearing the gi. They'd say, "Oh man, you're so stupid. Why are you wearing the gi?" Blah 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 blah. Right? And then over the years, as the fighting careers of all of us have waxed and waned, a lot of the guys have slapped the gi on. They're like, you know what, man, this thing's kind of fun.
It is fun.
It's so funny because like I had so many guys over the years who would like crap all over me for wearing the gi, and then eventually they're like, I wish I would have put this thing on sooner because, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
I agree, man. It is fun. And as you get older, you can slow things down. And so, like, you can still be really high-level competitive in the gi, versus maybe no gi where you don't have quite the juice, quite the get up and go. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's all jiu-jitsu. We love jiu-jitsu, and that's the point. So if you want to do no-gi, do no-gi. If you want to do gi, it's just like the whole COVID thing. You want to wear a mask, wear it. You don't want to wear a mask, don't wear it. Do your thing. Be safe, whatever. Yeah. I mean, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like,
I just think it's, again, I don't think, because like I said, and maybe it is, who knows? I could be completely wrong about this, but people were talking about this since I started jiu-jitsu
forever ago,
that the gi was going to be phased out. It was done with. It was like, this is an old relic of the past. Yeah. And it kept on and going, right? And I think it only became even more popular with like when the IBJJF became big.
Yes.
Like it became very big because people don't understand even before the IBJJF. Like we're having like a back in my day jiu-jitsu. I feel like grandpa jiu-jitsu.
Grandpa Chewy.
Grandpa grappler. Like people don't understand the availability of competitions as they are today, because back in the day when I first started, you didn't have competitions like the IBJJF. You didn't have them coming in all the time and being everywhere, and then you didn't have all these other smaller competitions running throughout the country and the world and everything else. And that's such a cool thing. And I think as that has become bigger, so has the gi, because people have had more opportunities. Because it used to be you would train in the gi, maybe there's a couple competitions, and then you take the stupid thing off to go fight MMA, and then you grapple. I mean, that's really what it was, right? Like you go look at all the old the old Brazilian top team guys like the Nogueira brothers and Mario Sperry and Murilo Bustamante and Valide Ismail, all these dudes, right? All the old Carlson Gracie guys that were fighting. They were wearing the gis, and then they would take things off and they'd go fight in MMA, and but they were all winning big tournaments, but then they would take it off and go fight. Yeah. Whereas now you see more competitions, and you could compete every single weekend if you wanted to. That's never been a thing before until the last decade. And it's neat. It's a very cool thing. And I think that as that's grown, so is the gi's popularity. Yeah. And so it's honestly, the gi to me has gotten a little bit more popular over the years because of that fact, because, well, now you got something to do with it more often, right? So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think that, again, the no-gi tournaments are still going to be the higher paying ones, as they always have been. And, that's that.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you. Let's do it. Let's take some questions, guys.
All right, guys.
I think we have figured this thing out.
We beat that horse.
The old debate. Guys, if you have some questions for us, we're going to start going through some questions. We're going to see if there's anything on here. If you guys have anything, send up. Chewy, thanks for all. Question about the origin gi? I don't know.
Question about the origin gi? What?
You partner with them. How funny. Oh, never mind. You just had a question
Okay.
about it. So, let's see. Let's see if we got anything.
Damien, have you ever farted on someone while rolling? Yes. I've done it.
Where?
I've farted on someone while rolling. Stuff happens.
What's up, Damien? So here's a funny story about farting on people while rolling. If you make somebody fart, we just do arbitrary points. Like if you do like a knee on belly and somebody farts, like 5 points.
Yeah, like
10
if
points.
you make them fart.
Make them fart.
Yeah, if you like make them fart, like a lot of times, 2.
That's right. We just yell. All right, let's do this. Chew, are you familiar with the fights tomorrow? This is from Jerome.
No, I'm not familiar with the fights.
So Charles Oliveira is fighting Michael Chandler tomorrow.
Ooh.
So kind of a wrestler.
That's going to be a
type
good
guy.
one, yeah.
It is.
And Oliveira's good.
Oliveira beat Tony Ferguson pretty bad. What do you think? You think he can submit him?
Dude, I don't know. Like I watch fights, but like here's the problem with me. I'm old. I'm older than my years actually say. I have such a hell of a time staying up all night, like for those fights, because they're so late. So I'll catch them afterwards. But I'm a bit out of the. I follow jiu-jitsu more closely than I do fighting anymore.
Yes.
But I think either. I mean, it's hard to say because like I only saw that one fight of Michael Chandler's just recently, and he looked great.
Where he knocked out Australian dude.
Yeah, and he looked real tough.
Yeah.
He looked like a tough dude. And Charles Oliveira, same thing. That dude, like
he's come on, dude. He's just been so good, and his stand up looks really good. So it's like if Michael and there's a height difference.
Yeah.
You know, like Oliveira's taller. He's got more reach. So like Chandler's got to get in there. But it was Dan Hooker. That's who he fought. But Dan Hooker's pretty tall. So it's going to be an interesting fight, man.
I'm so bad about those predictions. Just because I always end up predicting it the wrong way. So I'm.
What do you think of his chances? So if he's,
He's
he goes
good.
to the ground, dude, and he submits from the bottom too.
He's got a good chance. So I'll.
He's the favorite too, I think.
Yeah, I mean Charles Oliveira is tough, dude. Like he's good, and I think he's got a good chance to do it. I mean, again, it's a fight is a fight, and I think a lot of times it's so weird. Like you could put, if fighters are somewhat close to skill, you could put them in like and do the best 2 out of 3 or something, or best like 5 out of 5 or something, and you would have like each fight would probably be wildly different, just because on any given night. Things are just different. You just never know, and so it's hard to say like who's going to win that one. Who do you think? Because you follow fights a little more closely.
I do. Man, I think Chandler wins. I think he TKOs him. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if he gets choked out though.
Okay,
but I'm gonna pick Chandler.
Cool.
Go pick Chandler.
Cool.
I just like I think his style. He's aggressive. He hits hard. You want to do this? Ahmed has a question.
Ahmed. Let's see. If my goal is to eventually become a black belt so I can open up a small gym to teach out of as a hobby later on in life, is it okay? Is that an okay goal to have? I know you said it's not a good goal. No. So here's the thing. I think it's a fine goal. Like for me, I'll tell you about me. So look, when I was younger, I literally, dude, used to drive around as a blue belt in my car at nighttime because I would drive an hour away from my house to go to the gym, right? And I would drive back at night, and I would have that like post rolling sort of high that you get, and you're just driving in the car, feeling the wind go through my hair, and I'd be like, man, I wish that I could do this someday for like a living, or I wish I could have a gym someday and teach people and everything else. It was always there, but it just wasn't something I was focused on immediately. So it was in the back of my mind. And so I think it's a fine goal to have, but there's different types of goals, right, Ahmed? You've got your goals that are sort of like down the road, and then you got your sort of immediate goals. And so I think it's a fine goal to have, to say, you know what, I'd like to have a gym someday, and I'd like to teach people because I've gotten a lot from this, and I would love to give it to other people. That seems like it's a beautiful thing, right? But immediate goals, those should be something that are going to help you out down the road. So one of the big things that I tell people is if you're going to be a coach, you need to fill yourself up with as much as you can, both with information and experiences. You need to try to take in as much as you can, so this way when it's time for you to give to people, right? Like, for instance, you got to imagine that this cup is full. You have a little bit to dole out to other people. If your cup's empty with no experiences, with nothing in it, well, then you got nothing to give. And so I think it's fine to have those long-term goals, but I think it's also good to have immediate goals because long-term goals are long and it feels good to do something and it feels good to have a goal to chase after now. So having, say, a competition or trying to learn a new position to work on or something of that nature, or, maybe even trying to ask your coach what he expects of you to get your new belt or something, whatever it is. Finding immediate goals or more closely short-term goals that you can hit now, I think is useful because there's a positive feeling of hitting a goal, and I think it's fun to have something to chase after. Even me, I give myself goals from time to time. Sometimes it's a competition, sometimes it's a new position or technique that I'm working on, but I like having those goals, and I still have long-term goals. So there's nothing wrong with having it to where you want to be a teacher. You just need to make sure that you're chasing something in the immediate future as well, at least in my bearded opinion.
Let me see here. Somebody said that you look. Somebody commented that you look slow in your videos when you roll.
Oh, I look slow?
That's what they said. And they put like a little snail.
Yeah.
You want me to see who it was?
Yeah, let's see. It's funny.
Let me see. And it was hilarious. I was like, you've obviously never rolled with Chewy, number one.
Well, no, I have something to say about that because I agree.
You're slow?
No, I'm not slow. I look slow though.
I don't know where it was.
So this is you can.
There it is.
Let's see. Every time I watch your roll, you seem slow. So I wonder if he's talking about my speed or like the way that I actually look.
Maybe because the video's in slow motion.
No. So here's the thing. So a lot of times videos can be very like. So the thing about jiu-jitsu is until you feel it, you don't know. Like it's one of these weird things where you're disconnected from it, right? It looks like, oh, he's not moving that fast. And then you roll with someone. Because I actually had a guy one time come into the gym and he was like, bro, he's like, I watch your rolling videos and holy crap, you move so much faster in person. Because you watch the videos, and when you're watching the video, it doesn't look like it's going that fast, right? But then when you roll with me, it's like, oh crap, that was quick. Like you're pretty, like one of the things that people tell me a lot is, and they have told me for years, is that I move really quickly for, a bigger guy, and I'm bouncing all over the place.
Dude, yes.
And so again, I totally agree with you. And even me, I watch my videos sometimes and I'm like, man, I look like I'm moving slow motion compared to how I feel. And even like back in the day when I would box and stuff like that, I would box and there were some videos of us boxing and it didn't look like I was hitting that hard, but then the guys that I would roll with, like, dude, that body shot hurt, like whatever. And so sometimes it's a little bit deceptive to feel versus just seeing it. And if you could record yourself rolling and watch yourself, you'd probably be surprised at how slow you look like you're moving versus how fast it actually feels. Like when you watch like a brand new white belt, they don't really go anywhere, but somehow like the pace in their head seems like they're going really fast. Like, they haven't moved at all, but they feel like they're really moving. That's pretty normal.
Yeah. Here's a good one. Mike L. I'm going to delete this fella.
How do you improve? Which one?
There it is. How do you improve cardio and BJJ?
Oh, I thought you were going to try to delete
No, I delete somebody.
Oh, how do you improve your cardio and BJJ? So, interesting. One of the ways you can do it, what?
You just do.
You can roll.
You just roll.
So now you can roll, and I know some people are like, come on, Chewy, give us some better answers than that, So yeah, you can roll. Obviously, I think rolling is important. Here's a couple things. One, roll, and when you get tired, continue to try to roll and be efficient. Being in those, here's what happens a lot of times. People, when they get into jiu-jitsu, if they've never done anything super physical, their mental limitations and their physical limitations are not the same. Mentally, they will feel fatigued, tired, and wore out before they're physically really done, right? Physically, they still have something left in them, but mentally, they feel like they're cooked because of the discomfort. So if you get into that uncomfortable space, push yourself a little bit. I'm not saying be dangerous, but push yourself. But beyond that, losing weight's really helpful for cardio. Like if you're overweight or if you've got an extra couple lbs sitting on the, right here, it's a good idea to lose them. It's not a bad thing because you'll find, like, I always know, like when I drop a little bit of weight, I feel so much quicker. My cardio goes up because I'm just lugging less weight around, right? The other thing that you can do is either do. So I like if I'm trying to boost my cardio for a competition, I like to do sprint intervals, and I like to do those either. Sometimes I'll do I'll do hill sprints, right? Because I don't like to run long distances anymore. Hill sprints, or I'll get on an Airdyne bike and I'll do my biking. And I think biking is good because it's easy on the knees. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes I'll even mix up the bike with a ski erg.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
But any kind of like cardiovascular exercise where you're doing that is good, and even steady state cardio has a place off the mats, because if you think of like the pace that we're always doing, we're in this like bursting thing, but we're always moving, and so if you build up your aerobic capacity too through just steady state cardio, your body's always using that particular energy system, and so even doing some of that's helpful.
Like you're building like your cardio floor almost. Like your floor is a little higher than it was.
Well, think of it like so your body has different energy systems that it uses at different times,
yes.
depending on what type of activity you're doing, right? So let's say if you're just moving, you're on the feet, and you're just kind of like lightly grappling for hand fighting, right? You're not using that ultra strong, explosive, powerful energy system. Now, when you shoot in for a shot, you are. Right. So you got to think about trying to like hit all those different places and things like that. That's at least the way I think about it. But getting back to it, rolling more is a good idea. Losing weight, if you need to, would be a good idea. Doing some cardio off the mat through biking, hill sprints, and then even doing a little steady state cardio from time to time is good. And if you're newer, understand this. Sometimes it's just going to take a while, because what's happening is you may have a fine gas tank, and you might have enough cardiovascular output to be there, but the problem is you're inefficient. Everything's new, your body's freaking out, and your energy meter is just zapped, right? This is why you can see a black belt who's relatively out of shape roll for a while, because they know how to be efficient. And so as you roll more and train more, you'll become more efficient, and that'll be a thing as well.
All right. How about this one? Any tips on training BJJ with a herniated disc?
Well, Eugene, you are the...
I've got a couple herniated discs, I found out.
And you're also the PT, so you...
it depends on, a lot of times herniated discs, posterior backwards. So like what I would tell people, avoid getting folded up.
Like
watch your inversions. Be mindful with inverting under like huge people. Do the recovery work. Do maybe like if you're in a flexed position rounded, work on your extension. See if that feels better. Building some strength, stability, some core work.
It also depends on where the disc is herniated.
It depends. Usually, obviously it's going to be, well, if it's your neck or
like
your low back.
If it's your low back or neck, it's two different places.
But again, same concept though. Like think of, I always use the concept of like a s'more, right?
Yeah.
You have graham cracker, and then your disc is like the marshmallow. You squeeze the front. Where's that back of the disc? Or where's that marshmallow go? Towards the back. Squeeze out the back, right? I know you do. But that's kind of the main thing. Like avoid being folded up, and then do recovery work. And not just for your back. Look at your hips. Look at your mid back. Look at your thoracic spine. All that stuff. So think of the area you're working on. Zoom out. Address above and below, because sometimes this is where the injury is. It may be in that low back, but look at the area surrounding, because that can always help. You can create a little more motion, steal a little movement from up top or down below, and that might ease off some stress on the lumbar spine.
And for you guys listening, this is one of the reasons why you should. It's money well spent. Get people like a Eugene or someone
like a me,
like a Eugene, or like someone that does this stuff where they can help you identify certain areas. So, for instance, years ago, I had some issues with my low back. I would literally walk for 20, 30 minutes, and then I would have this spasming low back. Literally, I'd hunch over, and I thought I was done. And I was in my late 20s. It was my hip. It was my hips were weak. So my core was weak. I could do crunches and stuff, but my actual core through the stabilizer was weak. So I had to do a lot of planks to stabilize my core in the regular position. My hip extension was weak. I had my butt muscles weren't very strong. And so I had to strengthen those up, but my hip flexors in the front were really strong. They were overpowering. So I had to do all this balancing work through the exercises and the lifting that I was doing. And again, you get that stuff through working with a person who's an intelligent physio or physical therapist or something like that. So again, you can also seek someone out like that can help you out, that can assess what's going on with your body, and then give you some direction to fix that, and then put the work in and do the PT work.
Yeah, and if you're working with a PT that's not familiar with Jiu-Jitsu, you have to kind of explain to them or show them the positions that you're in, because they don't get it. They're they'll say, "Oh, you're good to go," but they don't. That's everyday normal stuff. That's not necessarily the transition from everyday feeling good to jiu-jitsu.
Do you do consultations on Skype and stuff?
Yeah, I do on my website. So you can go on jiu-jitsutherapist.com, and you can send me an email. I work with people. Actually, I do like a lot of mobility stuff. Like I'll have them go through a series of movements. And I'll see kind of what's limited and kind of give them guidelines there. And a lot of times it's the connection, like getting somebody back to jiu-jitsu. People are coming back from an injury. They're nervous. So they don't know what works. So you can even talk through, or even talk through with your coach. Like get in there and start just move by yourself first, then move with somebody you trust, some drills, and find what positions feel good, explore those. And then you kind of expand. Like, so I think a lot of people think, well, I'm hurt, I can't train. Well, you probably can in some, unless you've just had surgery, you can in some capacity, whether it's solo movement, solo drilling, or even partner drilling. You just got to figure out what your body can do. And that's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu. I always say, like, I mean, you got people with no legs that are training. You got people with like one arm that doesn't work that they're training, you know? So we got a guy at the gym that's got a fused neck, a fused back, 2 hip surgeries, and he's training, you know.
Not from jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, but like, you can train. Like,
and we all know that, and we, you know, there's certain things that we take easy on him, and he taps out if anything gets funky.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, you got to work around that. You know, so there's ways. Not just worry about your transition to getting back to it, and that's going to be something that could be helpful for sure. Yeah, I said pick your training partners wisely. Yeah, I agree. So,
any cats and kittens
coming out to
any cool? What was that, bro? The
what's that?
Joe Exotic.
Oh, is that what it is?
The lion.
Yeah.
What did they call it?
Oh shit! Lion King. No, not Lion King.
I wanted to say the Lion King. The Tiger King.
Tiger King.
Tiger King. That's right.
Yeah. I got you. Some people are saying like 4 to 6 minutes is ideal for. I love you. He's got a picture of.
I see that. Yeah, Yoel.
Yeah. I think the time is going to be. Let me see. Do you see anything, Chew?
You're just scrolling fast.
Scrolling fast.
Remember, I'm slow. I have trouble like seeing
Oh,
everything.
you're fine.
What's that?
What's that? I don't know.
Put a large trap door. We're making this into a like the Roman days or whatever with the trap doors.
Yeah.
In the Colosseum. We can keep going with it. I'm sure we got plenty down at the bottom.
Yeah, let's go here. I'll go to the bottom. We'll just go work our way backwards. Strong, but someone. Let me see. I can't find it. Yeah, they said Tiger King. Thank you. I don't know. Do you see anything, Chew?
Well, yeah, just keep going.
All right. What about that?
I would not be the guy to talk to for judo style takedowns for no gi. I've watched. I remember years ago I hit. There's one judo takedown I'll do like off of a Uchimata that I got from a Carol Parisian DVD that he made back in the day because it was like all for no gi stuff. But you can check that out. But again, I would find someone that's a judo practitioner that does no gi and then have them look to them. I'm not the guy to do it. I did wrestling. And for the most part, everything I do is based upon wrestling takedowns and things like that. A lot of times I have to convert the wrestling takedowns to the gi when I want to use them, you know.
Gotcha. Here's a good one right here. It says, hey, Chewy, what's your opinion on learning and drilling takedowns as a white belt? If you would suggest to learn them that early, what are some you would start with, maybe more judo wrestling based?
It depends. It depends on who you got coaching you. You know, if the guy's a great judoka, he should probably be teaching you judo takedowns, not wrestling takedowns. If they've got a wrestling base, they should probably give you wrestling, right? Like when I teach my students, a lot of times I give them far more of a wrestling influence base more than a judo. Now, I think that one of the benefits to doing wrestling is that wrestling can convert to gi or to no gi easier than judo can convert over. Not to say it can't, because it can if you know how to do it, but you know, it's very easy in my eyes to convert a wrestling takedown from the no-gi and bring it over to the gi with some adjustments. And I think it plays better in both, especially when we're talking about jiu-jitsu competitions, because when you watch jiu-jitsu competitors go, they like a lot of times they're more closely related to like a wrestling stance than they are to judo stance, because judo they'll be like straight up, like standing very high. Yeah. Whereas you'll look at like a jiu-jitsu guy, he'll go out there and like they'll have their butt like way back.
Yeah.
They'll be like way out like this with their hips back and their hands forward and getting ready to pull guard or whatever, or just they don't know how to do takedowns, and that's just what they're doing. And I think you can deal with that a little bit easier with wrestling if you know how to. But again, that's coming from a person who wrestled, so I'm a bit biased. But I think that people, regardless whether it's judo or wrestling, I think they're both great. You should definitely do takedowns as early as possible so that you can get familiar with them. I think, like, I remember years ago, we used to start on the knees on our when we used to grapple, and I remember one of the white belts asking me, Chewy, why do we start from the knees? And I was like, I don't know. And I didn't really have a good answer. And so I got rid of it because I was like, this is stupid. We're never going to fight on the knees. And I know I've saw some people saying, well, starting on the feet's dangerous. Starting on the feet is no more dangerous than being in any other position in grappling if you know what you're doing. Right. So for instance, like as soon as my guys have learned how to grapple on the feet, I have them start on the feet. Sometimes, and depending on the position that we're doing, sometimes we have positional rolling or whatever. But if we're doing a full roll, we'll either start in a full guard position or we start from the feet. That's it. It's like, let's do what we need to do. And so again, I think as long as you're educated with it, it's a fine position to start from.
Thanks to Persian MMA News for the donation. Thanks, you,
buddy.
Yes, appreciate you. Yeah. Kyle Riley has a question.
Oh, real quick. Trent says road cycling has helped my cardio a lot. Trent, biking is great, and it's great to be out in nature. I love getting on my bike and just going for a loop. I used to do that on Sundays last summer, where I was just like every Sunday I'd get out on the bike, and it's a workout.
Yeah, I got a road bike.
Do a hill.
It's gnarly, man. I've got a road bike. I'm just.
It'll kick your ass, man.
It's tough, man. Some of these hills, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, I was doing some of these hills, man, and my heart rate was like, it was going.
And you get that burn, man. Your thighs start burning like crazy. So yeah, road cycling is great, and it's low impact. Yeah. As long as the one thing about your back, you have to have good position because you're kind of hunched over a little bit. So you got to be mindful. That's the only thing that doesn't bother you. But other than that, I think it's great, low impact. Even I love Airdyne. Airdyne's killer. I mean, you can get a great workout. You can do those, Tabatas and stuff like that. So it's really good, good to do that one. So let's do Kyle. Kyle's a good question.
Chewy, I have a question. I have a close friend who is transferring to my gym. He wants me to ask the instructor if he can keep his stripes. Is this something acceptable to ask? He should ask his instructor. I had a guy just the other day who came to my gym and said he was a blue belt at his gym, and he's transferring to our gym now. And he asked me, he said, hey, man, I don't know if it's a problem or not. If you want me to take my blue belt off, I will if I need to. And, I told him, no way, you don't need to take your blue belt off. Just keep your blue belt on. You don't have to do that. But again, he should ask. You shouldn't have to ask. I mean, if he's wanting you to ask or something, that's fine for him. But if he's already planning on transferring to the gym, just tell him to talk to the coach. It's better that he just talk to him. And again, if you don't feel like you have a coach that you can ask a question, I mean, what kind of coach is that? It's your teacher. It's your coach. He's supposed to be there to help you. So if you have a question, you should be able to come to them.
I think one thing that you've done is if somebody came from their gym and they were a certain belt rank and maybe you thought they weren't quite up to par, you kind of kept them there longer.
Yeah.
Until they developed.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there to our standards. Yeah.
Unless you come in wearing a green belt and then Chewy lets you run around the green belt for a couple classes and then he looks at you like you're a weirdo and then you ask him, hey, should I take this off? And they say yes. Yeah. That person was me, by the way. Yeah. That's why I'm saying that.
And then sometimes we've had guys that have been fighting professional MMA for over a decade. And come in as a white belt, and I start promoting them. Go, those guys fast.
Yep,
gotta get that ball rolling.
Comes in there wearing wrestling shoes and a camouflage gi, and
white
then
belt,
choking people and a white belt. And you're like, who is this dude?
Yeah,
what is he doing? Who is he punking? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
who's he messing with, man?
Yeah,
just destroying people.
People are coming to Chewy. This is not a white belt. Like, oh yeah, that's right. He's been I had to tell these guys. He's been training for a long time.
There you go, man.
What did we block that guy for?
Who?
The guy above. He's wrestling high. Was he being stupid?
Oh yeah, he said something about Jiu-Jitsu being gay or something.
Oh okay. Because I haven't heard that one before.
Something dumb that has it's not conducive at all to anybody. You're just trolling.
I just always it's like really that's all you got.
You're just insecure, bro.
No. See, I love. See, I think it's funny if people if you do a good job of making fun of something, it's fun, right? But Jiu-Jitsu's gay. Like okay.
Come on.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Never heard that before, big guy. All right, so let's go to the next one.
All right, next one. 5'9", love jiu-jitsu. How can my long arms be advantageous when doing jiu-jitsu? I have the wingspan of someone who is 6'1". Tips, advice.
Dude, Darce chokes, anaconda chokes, arm triangle chokes. I mean, all that stuff.
Look at Tony Ferguson. He's fighting this weekend. He does a lot of Darce chokes. Crazy. Goes from everywhere. Look at Richie Martinez.
Mm-hmm. He's got a great guillotine.
Killer guillotine Darce choke. He's a beast. we had Chad. We trained with Chad. Chad Hardy's a black
Great
belt.
choke.
Yeah, dude, you don't want to get under. You're working underhooks. You gotta be really
Snatch you up.
really careful, really mindful because it's tough, man. But yeah, I mean, it's an advantage. I mean,
so
you got to set it up.
So that'd be, if I was gonna like tell you to put like an investment somewhere, that would be a good bet. Those things.
All right. Let me see. What about this Steve Torra? Actually, let's say somebody. Joel McDaniel. Thanks, Joel. Good to catch y'all live. Bummed you aren't down here for Nogi Pans.
Hey, appreciate it, Joel.
Thanks, Joel. Where's Nogi Pans?
Texas.
It's in Texas. Okay.
It's so weird to me that it's weird because they usually do the gi pans first, and then Nogi pans is later on in the year.
It's Nogi.
Yeah. Year. So the Nogi pans, they just had that back in like last November or whatever, and now they're doing it again. And they haven't had the gi pants. I don't know why. I mean, maybe they're changing it because it's hot. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense maybe. It's like if it's hotter, like do the gi in the cooler months or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's Steve Torres. So for Eugene, do you ever have issues with your energy level when your kids were newborns? I have 10-week-old and find myself having no energy to roll because of lack of sleep. Yes. I have energy levels that decline now. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. My daughter likes to get up. I was up at 2:30 in the morning. Like you just, man, you got to understand that probably you're not going to be at your best. Again, without having enough sleep, you got to be careful because you're probably a little more prone to injury. Your energy levels are going to be lower. Again, take that with a grain of salt. Like, understand that some days you're going to be the nail, if you're not well rested, and you may not be able to go as many hard rounds. You have to pace yourself. So keep showing up. Like, the thing is, I kept, whatever that schedule was. We had Sean Williams on the podcast, and he said something that really stood out to me. And he said, like, even if you're injured, even if you're not, like, always, like, say you're a Tuesday, Thursday kind of person that goes jiu-jitsu, even if you can't make it in, save that time for your jiu-jitsu, whether it's studying, learning, watching some videos, watching instructional, thinking about techniques, what have you. I think that even if you can't make it in, use that time. But again, you just got to understand that you're not going to be as fresh as like a 25-year-old coming in that has nothing else to do but, they work like, a 9 to 5 and they come in, they're fresh. So sleep's super vital, super important. Make sure, you're on your diet. I mean, that's another thing. Do things that you do have control over. Chewy, any suggestions just in general if you're fatigued?
I mean, if you're fatigued, you're probably either...
Or lack of sleep. Say you're somebody that parties a lot and you come in the next morning, you're hungover, or you haven't slept much.
Stop partying.
There you go. I mean, but if you are, how would you address it?
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, like the kids you can't avoid that, but like
right.
I was talking to one of my buddies back just the other day, and that's what we were talking about, that why we never got into partying, because we were training. Like, that's, you're just not going to party. It's like, we got stuff to do. But again, sleep, diet, all those things are important. I've had so many people that have made their diet better. Ate whole foods. I'm not going to get into the whole like organic or vegan or this, that, whatever argument, but just eat food you make, like stuff you have to make whole foods, where it's like you got these single ingredients. I'm putting together meat, and I've got some veggies, and I've got rice and potatoes and things like that. Like, you can't go wrong with that stuff. And you'll probably feel like just a crazy shot of energy. I know that like this past year when I was cutting weight, I was incredibly strict on my diet. When I was losing weight for the competition, I got real lean. I was losing weight, but at the same time, I felt super energetic because the food that I was eating was, there was no added sugar in anything, and I felt great. I felt energetic even though I was losing weight and I was training hard. But again, without sleep, it's going to be difficult. I think the big thing to understand is that point in your life that you're in right now is a season. Right, it's not going to last forever. That newborn eventually is going to start sleeping through the night, and it's going to get older and things like that.
Maybe.
What?
Dude, my kids still don't. My daughter still don't sleep.
Well, you know what I mean. But you still sleep better than you did when she was
pregnant.
Yeah.
No, I'm just being silly.
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
I'm
for
saying.
Sure,
but it's a season in your life, and understand that's sometimes like in our lives, right? Nothing's static. Nothing is going to be like this very moment right now ever again. It's already gone, right? And I think that a lot of times what happens is we get so locked into things have to be this way, and our schedule is going to get mixed up and matched up, and it messes with us because we're like, I like the way that things were, and now it's not that way anymore. You're just in a season, so flow with the season. Just understand that right now, your training's going to suck. You're not going to be in as good a shape. You're probably going to eat crappier food because you're going to be like lazy about dieting because you're tired and exhausted and your willpower is gone. And just roll with it. And then once your little one starts to get a little bit older, you're doing your duty as a father, as a parent, which is the best thing ever, right? Then you can come back to training harder after you get some more sleep and stuff like that. You've got a little bit more oomph in you, right? But just understand it's temporary. It's not forever. Just flow with it and don't let it bug you too much. The mats will be waiting there. This time that you have with your child is it's going, right? It's not going to be there forever. The mats will be waiting for you after there. So just go with it. Be okay with kind of sucking a little bit more than what you're probably used to or more than you want to, and just give it time to flow with it and you'll be all right.
It is a challenge, but again, like Chewy said, you just got to go with it. You got to understand, like, even your coaches will see that and they'll understand. Don't feel like you have to impress anybody. Like, everybody's got lives that kind of ebb and flow and things happen. And
see, I even struggle with not the same thing, but like something similar just the other day where Jess and I moved into this new house.
Yeah.
Right. So we've been in there about 2 weeks. We're moving all their stuff out. And my normal work schedule, which is pretty tight, as far as all the stuff that I do, has been all over the place. And because of that, the normal creative output that I do has been all messed up. And it's messing with me. I don't like it. Right. I'm like, I like doing things. I like doing this on this day, and then this day is this day, and then I have this. It's all arranged nicely most of the time. Now that we've moved, it's all over the place. It's frustrating, but at the same time, I know it's temporary because I know once we get everything settled, it'll be fine. We'll be like whatever, and then I can get back to my normal rhythm. And so anytime you take on something like a new house, a newborn, a new job, a new career, a new anything, right? Anytime something new gets thrown into the mix, it sort of like throws everything it throws a wrench into everything. And then you kind of have to get everything back to normal. And that's just kind of a normal sort of thing to life, like ebb and flow. And so, I mean, whether you're having a newborn or not, be ready for the new stuff to come and just completely mess up whatever you got going on right now. And then you kind of have to stabilize. And after you stabilize, things are going on. And now they're okay. Something new comes in, messes it up for a little while, pisses you off. And then you're like, it's just, it happens forever.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Yeah, it's always something. Change is a difficult thing too. And it's one of the things I've struggled with.
But it's a constant.
That's why I tattooed it on my arm.
Right.
Change is the only constant.
But you got to remember it.
It is. That's why I tattooed, so I can look at it sometimes like, God, I hate this change.
Change is the only constant.
That's what I do. I say it every morning. Here's a good question from Ozzy. We get this question a little bit. We've heard this one before. Jiu-Jitsu. I've had my purple belt for a few years now, and I plan on opening my gym soon. Any advice would be greatly appreciated.
Why are you opening up a gym as a purple belt? Like, is your coach, like, can you not, like, work with your coach to, like, teach at his gym? Is there no coaches around? That kind of thing. I'm just curious.
Yeah, we'll check it. We'll see.
Ozzy, reply back to that. Like, let me know more about your situation because you're opening up a gym, but you're a purple belt still, which is nothing wrong with it. But I would want to know the situation because if you're at a gym with a black belt, in my eyes, I would want to get to my black belt first before I open up a gym, unless there was some sort of circumstance that was pushing me to do so. I became a brown belt coach not because I wanted to, but because it got thrown into my lap. That sort of thing happened. But I would want to know more about it. So comment down below, let us know.
I have funny. Pete Donovan says he's got a dad joke. It's pretty good.
Okay, I got a dad joke. It says,
here it is.
What is it? What did one cloud say to the other cloud? No one knows. It's a mystery. Hey, Pete Donovan, I got one for you.
All right, Chew.
So
Let her rip.
What type of doctor was Dr. Pepper?
I don't know.
He was a physician.
Oh, Lord. That was bad.
I wish we had like a sound for
I could probably get one.
Yeah, no, we could probably do that.
Mad Dog. This is a good one. I like this one. Best feeders, tie-ins for a Kimura Center game.
What does it mean?
So, like, what can transition well from a Kimura?
Like,
what could you play with? Like, maybe what would you, like, say you have Kimura. You play a lot of Kimura grip stuff. What can you transition? You do. So what do you like to do off of that?
Arm bars, back takes, chokes, anything. I mean, the Kimura's. I mean, the Kimura is one of those weird ones where like you can literally do the Kimura almost anywhere, right? Like a lot of submissions, they're very focused on a position, right? But for instance, for a Kimura, you can go from a Kimura from a guard, and you can start setting it up when you're setting up there, and then you can immediately go back for a guillotine choke, or you can use it for a sweep right afterwards. Or I'll use the Kimura sometimes where I'll go for a bump sweep. And then, like when the guy drive with the Kimura sweep, and the guy drives back into me, and I'll hook under and go to K guard and go for a leg lock. A lot of stuff there. Up on the feet, or not on the feet, on the ground on top. When I'm on top of someone, I can start setting up the Kimura. If it doesn't work, I can do a straight arm lock. I can step over to the side, go for a straight arm bar. If it doesn't work, I can roll through and do like the Kimura trap style back take. I mean, there's like so many things. The Kimura is like. That's one of my things I love about it, is because it's not just a submission. It's kind of like the triangle. The triangle lock itself is not just a submission. The lock itself is a really strong position that you can use for all kinds of stuff, right? The Kimura itself, it's a handle that you can use that then sort of connects with all kinds of other stuff. And really it comes down to playing with it. So what I would tell you more often, or more so than that, Mad Dog, is get to the Kimura grip and then just don't even finish with it. Just see what happens and what comes from it, and then see what you can do from there, and then sort of see what pops up. Because a lot of times I'll get Kimura grips. Instead of finishing the Kimura grips, I'll just kind of let the person move around and see where it goes to see what else I can find. Let's go down to the bottom and check what we got going on there.
I don't see. Who's the question from?
It was from Ozzy.
Let's see if Ozzy answered us. He may not have.
We got Brad Doyle's moving to Kentucky. All
Brad
right.
Doyle, let's see.
Don't know who Brad Doyle is, but
What's
hey,
up, Brad?
Welcome.
Come on to the gym.
Come on and train with us, brother. Be happy to have you.
So 5'5". This one, Jessica. So thank you for the wingspan question. Barely 5'2" with wingspan of 5'5".
Darces are a good one. Long arms, it's easy to get those. See, I suck with Darces and Anacondas because I've got like thick arms that are short. I've got like a thick torso, but I've got relatively short arms. Makes it for a great Kimuras and arm locks, but it doesn't make for good like arm triangle chokes because again, there's not much space to go in there. So again, if you're the opposite end, if you got like little short stubby T-Rex arms like me, think about things like chokes. Guillotines are good too, and considered things like Kimuras.
All right, here's an interesting one. This is one that I haven't. We got a guy like this. We have a big Rich Simons. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. There's something about being scary. Here we go. This one, and then we'll go to that one next.
Paul, any advice on making yourself seem less scary? I'm 6'2", 300 pounds, and a white belt, and I'm noticing hesitation when it comes to time to partner up. Yeah, man, you just got to go roll with people. Like, and you just got to invite them. Say, hey, man, you want to roll? And you could even preface it with, hey, man, I'm not going to kill you. You know, like, I mean,
try not to like the mother's milk choke where you like put them in your chest and just squeeze the shit.
Just hold them on your chest.
It works, but don't do that to people that are like 100 pounds less than you.
Yeah. So, the thing is, like Rich is a great example of one of the guys that trains with us. He's a big fella.
Big, strong black belt.
He's about 295 and he's strong. He's a built dude. He's muscular, everything else. And when he rolls with some of the smaller guys, he's lighter on them.
I'm probably smaller compared,
You're much smaller.
Yeah,
you're like half.
170.
But like when he rolls with the smaller guys, he's much lighter on them. Now when he rolls with me, he'll put some pressure on me, and I feel like I can barely breathe, But he's cognizant of his weight, and he wields it appropriately. And so one of the things I would say, and I even check this out, even when I roll with some of the lower belts, sometimes like some of the white belts that'll come from the beginner class over to our mixed group classes and intermediate classes, I'll roll with them for the first time, and I'm like, hey, you want to roll? And you'll see him go, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. You can tell they're getting worked up. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to kill you. Don't worry about it. So you can even preface it with that. You can say, hey, listen, hey, would you like to roll? And if someone's kind of freaked out, like, I'm not going to kill you. And then make sure you don't kill them. Make sure that you don't come flop on them as a big guy that just crushes them.
Don't be spazzy, as a white belt. Like, I don't know where your experience level is. Just be controlled, because
try to be as controlled as possible. Just because if you're a big guy going up against a considerably smaller person, if you breathe on them the wrong way, you could pop something. I mean, it just is what it is.
You can.
I mean, it's like if I roll with I've got like some small women that train me, like a 120-pound woman. Like when I roll with her, I'm not like putting full weight on her.
No.
I'm taking it easy just because I don't want to hurt her. Now, if I go against someone else that's heavier, I go heavier. You got to be able to adjust your roll. If you want to be someone that like everybody loves to roll with, it's not about not submitting them. It's about being able to adjust your tempo and your roll with that person. Granted, there's a time when you're going to compete or whatever, and you got to turn it on. That's fine. But being able to sort of adjust your roll, where basically, you're being mindful of that weight, that strength, whatever, all the time. We won't have any trouble rolling with people because we've got big guys in the gym that nobody bats an eye. They're not worried about being hurt or whatever because they know the person's mindful of their weight.
Yeah, and you'll adjust based on skill level. If somebody's like, a newer belt, you're going to be easier with them.
I'm not going to take one of my brand new white belts and just like, rip a submission every 10 seconds. We'll just play around a little bit.
All right, Army Mikey Mike.
Okay.
So, hey, fellas, got an IBJJF tournament up here soon. Everyone's trying to do it. I've competed before. It's not my thing. It doesn't enjoy it. So I'm curious to see why you don't enjoy it. That might be a question to answer, but want my school to get the trophy. Thoughts? 2-stripe blue belt.
I don't know.
Would you do it? Like if you really didn't feel like you wanted to, would you still
No. But at the same time,
but you're also like a black belt of been training for 20 years, so you kind of don't give
I
a
enjoyed
shit.
competing though.
Yes.
So competing was nerve wracking as hell. Like
I agree.
God bless, dude. I can't even tell you when I was younger. Like competing was nerve wracking to me. Like a week or two before the competition, it was almost like an MMA fight for me. I would be thinking about it. I'd be driving my car and my mind would be somewhere else. I'd be seeing the match happen in my mind, and I would like forget that I was even driving sometimes. I was in that thing where you're like driving straight on the road. You're driving on a road you've been on plenty of times, and you kind of are off in a daydream. So it used to really kick up a lot of nerves for me. And there was always sort of a nervousness about it and maybe this isn't you, I'm just explaining it from my perspective, and one that I've seen a lot of times. I would like want to not do it. I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to deal with the nerves, whatever, and the uncertainty. And then whenever I competed, whether I won or lost, I was always happy I did it. And so I don't know what your reason for not competing is and what you dislike about it. Because, I mean, really all it is rolling inside of you roll in the gym. And even in the gym, it's competitive. The only thing you're doing now is you're going to a competition and doing it. It is what it is. And I find that kind of fun, for me personally. But I always enjoyed competing. And then, so I never really had that issue where I didn't want to do it. But, I don't know if you've competed a bunch or if there's some hang up or whatever, but let us know your thoughts. Like when was the last time you competed, and why do you not like competing? Let us know that, Army Mike, and we'll talk about it.
I mean, for me, I think it's stressful. The stress of it is kind of, because it kind of consumes a lot of your thinking.
Yeah.
Like you could be irritable sometimes. If you're cutting weight or whatever, that could be another. But you're also like, you're not just quite having fun per se. It's like, I mean, you are having fun, but your game starts to get very detailed, very specific to one thing. It's not like playing. You're not playing anymore. You're really trying to play your A game, do your thing. And so I think that if you enjoy competition, you're kind of really sharpening the tool set here. But if you just you're a hobbyist, I think it could be a little different.
There's easy fun and then there's earned fun. There's easy fun and then there's earned pleasure, so to speak. So like one of my students, and I were talking about that idea. And, like for instance, if you go eat a donut, it'll be sweet. You'll enjoy it for that moment. But if you go out and like do something crazy stressful and you come out on the other end, even if it's really tough during it, you will talk about it with your friends for years to come. You ever think about that? Like, you ever think about some of the crazy stuff that you did when you were younger? And at the time, it probably wasn't even that much fun. But when you look back on it, you have a reverence for those experiences, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And so I think there's just a difference. There's easy stuff, right? Like, oh, you got on a roller coaster. You like I said, ate a donut, whatever. You did something very cheap, very easy. But then the stressful stuff, the fun stuff, like even the competitions. Some of my buddies and I that had competed years ago, we'll talk about our old competition wins and some of the old fights that we had and stuff like that. And they were super stressful. It wasn't necessarily fun at the time, but damn, man, afterwards it was like, that was an experience worth having. And stressful situations typically are like that. Like probably when you look at, like, we were talking about newborns. I remember, like, I bet when you're like thinking about, like, when, like, say Oliver, first time, right? Dealing with like, oh my God, like I got to get up and like do this kid and whatever. But then when you look back at it and you think about him being young and being there with him, there's probably a certain sort of emotional feeling that you get from that. That's not negative, right?
I used to hold him like this, like a football.
Right.
His little head right there.
Uh-huh.
He fit my arm.
Yeah.
I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Now he's like a little
Now
tall
he's a little dude.
little dude. He's gonna start coming to jiu-jitsu with me.
Right.
So
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, so like it's stressful and everything else, but man, like after it's done, there was an experience there because it was stressful.
we've had some fun memories, like going to the war. Are you thinking about the microtel? Shut up. We can talk about that another time. But we went to the Master Worlds.
Master Worlds was
We
fun.
were all me, you, and Justin. Like sleeping in the hotel, and I remember cooking eggs and stuff. And
I was making smoothies and stuff like
man.
that. Yeah.
And then the microtel, we went to Charlotte, and I got this shitty hotel. There was like condoms on the floor and stuff.
Oh,
We
it
were
was
walking
gross.
in, and I was adamant about staying there. And you guys were like, "Dude, just stop. We have another hotel. You just come." So that's a memory. We had a great. Everybody did really well at the tournament. It was fun, but it was a great memory. It wasn't always the most fun to be like in there and driving 6 hours, but like, man, those are memories. So being with your your teammates, like Chewy said, like those are memories you're gonna like. And if you guys win, even if you lose, but the team does well, you've all done it together.
And challenging memories, challenging experiences make for the best memories.
Yeah.
Right? When things are, you don't remember easy stuff very much. You remember the challenge.
It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything because it's easy.
So again, it's if you don't like competition for some reason, whatever, that's fine. But if it's because of like the stress or because of the challenge of it, again, I'm not saying everybody's got to compete because I don't like competing all the time because of the fact that it changes the way that I have to train. It is what it is. But every now and then I like doing them. And sometimes it's just not the right time, so to speak. Not that I don't like competitions, it's just not the right time for it. So it's just a different thing.
You do a couple more questions?
A couple more questions.
Let's do a couple more. We got
let's see Aaron Murphy real quick.
Aaron Murphy. Where's Aaron Murphy?
Right up above. Right, no, down. Right there. No, right.
Oh, right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
right there.
Yes, that's what I was gonna go to.
Any advice for rolling with larger opponents? I always pull guard to avoid the stand-up and then get smashed in the bottom. For me, when I play against larger opponents, I pull half. I take the back. Sometimes I'll take them down. If I feel like I can out wrestle them, I'll take them down. I had plenty of matches.
That one video that that big boy, dude.
I did an absolute. I did a ultra heavyweight competition where I out wrestled people, and I was 209. So like the guys were 245, 265, whatever, and I out wrestled all those dudes. But again, sometimes you can't out wrestle them. And so if I can't out wrestle the bigger guy, I pull guard and I pull half guard or butterfly guard because I don't want to play full guard because full guard is you lack so much mobility, and up against a bigger person, they can stay square on you and smash you. Whereas with like half guard and butterfly, it allows me then a lot of movement and mobility so I can move around without having them just smash me. It's very hard to smash me in butterfly guard, really hard to smash me in a decent half guard position. I don't know what kind of style you play. If you're a little bit longer, you might want to play more of an open guard style like Spider or something like that. But for me, I'm a big fan of trying to pull them down to pull guard, getting to a butterfly or a half guard position.
Here's a quick question from Kiwi Beck. It's about the gi. I think it's about the Origin collab that you have. So quickly, Chewy, if people don't know about your gi, can you give a little info real fast?
Yeah. So if you guys didn't know, I have a Jiu-Jitsu gi that's created by Origin. I took one of their gi. They gave me one of their gis about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I beat the crap out of that thing. It's still in great shape, and so I wanted to get a gi made from them. So that's what we're doing. It's we have two options. One is a gray and black, or excuse me, not gray and black, a green and black gi. It's a black gi with a green lapel. The other one is a straight white, classic style, traditional white gi with green stitching and embroidery for all of you that train at a gym that doesn't allow like fancy gi colors. And then they have the pro pants, which the pro pants are neat, where they go off of jean sizing, where you can get a customized waist and length in the pants. So this way, if you've got like shorter legs or something like that, it's not such a problem, which I really love. And their pants are amazing. They're the most mobile pants I've ever felt in a gi. And so we're putting those together. We've priced them a pretty I think, at an affordable rate, especially for an Origin. and it's a super cool gi. So here's Kiwi's question. Says, I have a question about your gi pant sizing. I'm a 5'1" female with some serious hips. In order to get the perfect fit, do I still need to base it on my waist or hips? I usually go with Tommy W3 sizing. So let me check something real quick for you, Kiwi. So let me bring this up real fast. Here we go. So I talked to my friend at Origin, the representative that I'm working with, and she says some women's jean sizes are sized the same way. But if they have questions, they can call us. You can post the number of our service team and can help them. So basically, if you go on Origin's website, they have because it's an Origin gi. It's being made in their factories here in the United States, America. You can go to their website and there's a number that you could call, and I don't know where it is offhand, but it's on their website somewhere where it's a contact type thing, and you can call them if you have questions about the gis, and they'll be able to help you. As far as with like the specific sizing, I don't want to tell you one way or the other because I don't know. I am a man and I don't have serious sized hips. So check out their website and get the contact information. Give them a call and they'll give you some info on it. That was what the reps told me. So
all right, let's do. John's got a question about cauliflower ear.
Cauliflower ear.
Yes, I've recently started wearing headgear during practice. Cauli ear is something I want to avoid. Any advice for guys nervous to be the only guy in the gym wearing ear protection while rolling?
I mean, like it's one of these things where sometimes I have trouble connecting with the question just because I never cared about it. Like I was always pretty excited about cauliflower. I got my little bit.
I've got one that's kind of cauliflower.
Man, this one took me. I got this one as a brown belt, and I got it from like punches and knees, not from jiu-jitsu. Getting hit, but. I would just say if it's something that really bothers you and you don't want to get cauliflower, just wear a headgear. Get one of the soft ones that's not too hard because, one, you don't want it to get caught as much, and also you don't want to be a jerk to your partners where you're rubbing like a hard metal surface on their face. But just wear a soft black, cauliflower ear or ear protection and have it there. And you may take it off from time to time. I have a couple guys who have had flare-ups with cauliflower ear, and initially they wore the headgear. And then they took it off, and they haven't really had any problems with it. Most people don't have too much problems with cauliflower. It just happens sometimes. But if you want to wear the protection for it, man, wear the protection. It's like cups. Not everybody wears cups. I don't like wearing a cup, but I know a lot of guys that do. Mouthpieces, same thing. Some people wear them, some people don't. And ear protection, if you want to wear them, wear your ear protections. No big deal.
Yeah, I think like you said, just be mindful. Like if it's kind of harder, don't be rubbing. Like don't be putting that into people's faces and kind of using that as an advantage. Like I think if you wear a cup, you shouldn't use it as a fulcrum kind of thing. Like,
you got to be like if you're wearing a cup, you need to be careful. Like let's say if you get to like
or getting in people's back control.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying so if you get to back mount and let's say they go belly down and you're on top of them, you want to make sure you're not putting that cup point right into their spine. So be careful of that. But if you want to wear the soft protector on your ear, bro, wear it. Ain't no big deal.
Yeah. Was this the question?
Ozzy. Yes.
Was that the question?
Let's see.
Okay, let's see.
I still train her. So going back to his question about opening up a gym, says I still train under upper belt instructors. Also, there are no other gyms in the area that aren't 20 to 30 miles out of the way. It'd be nice to give back while still in the grind. Man, I mean that's on you. Like I said, for me personally, I didn't want to become a coach before I was like I said, I got thrown in my lap. And for most people, I'd say like be focused on yourself first before you try to go in. But if you wanted to open up a gym, I mean, you can open up a gym. I mean, there's so much. It's so hard, like, to talk about specifics of what you need to do to open up because there's so much it depends on. It depends on your area. It depends on like the size of the area. It depends on like how many classes you're planning to run or if you've got another job. If you know anything about marketing or business, because here's the problem. Most people, which I did this at first too, they think they're going to open up a gym and just people are just going to come out of the sky. And I'm not saying you're this way. This is how I was. They're going to open up the gym and everybody's going to just come in, right? And then what happens is it doesn't happen, right? Like nobody comes. And then you actually have to learn how to run a business. Like even high level guys will like run a gym and it's like, if you build it, they will come, but nobody comes. You have to run a good business. And also I think it's your duty to run a good business because of the fact that, if you do open up a gym, you need to keep that place running because then people are going to become connected to you. I mean, like we all become incredibly connected to our gym and our teammates and everything else. And I think that you do your students and yourself a disservice if you let that thing shut down because you just don't want to like take a little extra time to learn something like business. So the biggest thing I guess to tell you, bro, would be that you want to start investing in things like marketing and business learning, because jiu-jitsu is one side of it, right? But the other side is you've got to make sure that you run a business, and also make sure that your place for running the business is coming from a genuine place to help other people, right? If you're doing jiu-jitsu, like, and the reason I say this is because I have students that come to my gym that come from other gyms where they felt like they were a dollar sign. They felt like every time they walked in, the coach is just going cha-ching. Like, hey, you want to buy this shirt? You want to buy this thing? You want to buy this? Want to buy this? Hey guys, we got another seminar, and all this stuff, which is fine if you have stuff to sell, but you don't want to make your students feel like a dollar sign. Your first things first is to make sure you're taking care of those people, and you give to them. So then you allow them to give back to you in whatever means you allow and open up. So again, invest in some business and marketing learning. I do have an email list that I share some of that stuff. Shameless plug. You can look on my it's an email newsletter I have for like business marketing. I think I have it in my links page on my Instagram that you can sign up for. I do an email newsletter once a week. And then also make sure that when you're opening the gym, the drive to do it is coming from a genuine place in you to help other people, to teach other people, and to give them something that has been given to you.
So there was a question. I can't find it now. There it is. This one right here. Splatter Saint. And Splatter Saint asks, was on the USS Louisville for a short time. I wanted to take a trip out and visit. How inviting is your gym to out-of-towners? How close is it to Louisville? Well, we're in Louisville, number one, and Louisville's not terribly huge.
Yeah. It's pretty good size, about 1 million people.
Yeah, but you can get from like one end to the other in probably like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, we don't have crazy traffic. So, size-wise, we're a pretty good size, but we don't have crazy traffic. Like you said, you can get from one end of town to the other in about 30 to 40 minutes, depending. We don't like out-of-towners at all. We were very uninvited. I'm just kidding.
Man, we have literally.
It's pretty regularly now.
It's regular. It's all the time. You'll see somebody new coming in, popping in. It's better coming from me because you own the gym. I'm just your coach.
We're great with new people.
No, man, we're always seeing people in and you always. Chewy actually does a great job. He always introduces himself to every single person, and sometimes people are like, "Oh God, Chewy." It's kind of funny to me, but no, it's we love visitors, man. You got to be cool, you kind of go with the flow. And just like any gym, you show up you go with the flow, and everybody's. We love because it's new exposure for us too. Maybe somebody that does something like we had. Is it Will that did a lot of lapel stuff? Mm-hmm. He would come in all the time and man,
he was in recently. Yeah,
he would wrap me up in the damn lapel. But man, he was so cool about teaching and showing stuff, and we love having people in.
Yeah, I don't know who. I mean, there's the golden rule is a pretty good one, right? Like treat other people like you want to be treated. So I don't know anyone that likes to go to a gym where they don't feel like people are inviting, right? I mean, it just is what it is, and we're kind of in the near south. So we've got a little bit Louisville still has that bit of that southern sort of hospitality. People are pretty nice. You sometimes when you go to some of the bigger when I feel like I go to some of the bigger northern cities, sometimes I feel like it feels weird. Like in Louisville, for instance, if you're walking around and you see someone, you can just wave and say, "How's it going?" And people say, "Oh, it's going pretty good."
Pretty friendly.
I mean, you can just walk that's a normal thing. You go to I remember doing that in Chicago when I was a kid, and I did it to a guy. And he just looked at me. He's like, "What the hell do you want?
Why are you talking to me?
What do you want?" No, I mean, we're inviting. I mean, again, who wants to go to a gym where people are weird and not inviting? And what we do, it's fun, it's enjoyable. So, yeah, we try to make it as inviting as possible. Also, if anybody ever comes in, I don't do mat fees for a drop in. So if you just drop in for a training session once, I don't do mat fees. If you really enjoy the gym, buy a shirt or something to take with you. And I don't care about gym patches. So if you've got a patch from your gym that you train at, you can wear it. I don't care about it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. You don't have to take it off or anything like that.
And we've got to speak to the point, we have people that are make trips down south, and they're passing through, and they go out of their way to come stop by the gym. They've been there before, and they'll come back anytime they're down south or they're going south, or they make their way through the gym. And we always love having people. We got a Matias Sereno. Thank you for the donation, and we'll get to your question here. What should you do when a guy's beard or long hair gets in the way of, say, collar chokes? Do you just rip his hair? That's happened before.
I mean, it's so I'll tell you what happens to me. So typically, like if someone's grabbing and my beard kind of, it doesn't get super, super long, but it fluctuates. But if it gets caught, I will lift my neck up. Because it's like it's me, it's my beard. So if someone gets in here, I'll lift it up. It's my responsibility. Now with you may not try to like rip off the hair, but this is one of the things with when you get into grappling, you understand like why a lot of grapplers have kind of like shorter haircuts. They keep their beard a little tighter because again, you don't like all that hair just kind of gets in the way. So for me, I think that one, if you have a really, really long beard, I mean, it's not a bad thing to maybe trim it or at least do something with it so it's put up. And if it gets pulled on, you can't get pissed at people because, I mean, your beard's long. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And then if you're going, one of the things about collar chokes, this could help out too. Like, let's say if I'm going for right hand inside the cross collar choke. I don't ever grab right hand first. I always open up with the left hand first and then feed to the right hand because that allows for more space. And so if you're ever like, this is the really important tip. I talk about this in like my grip fighting stuff and everything else on the website. Open up your lapel or open up their lapel and then feed into it. So this way you get a stronger grip, a deeper grip, and you can have a little bit more space to work with to try to avoid the beard. But again, if their beard gets caught, that's on them. That's not on you.
I mean, I usually just like oh, sorry.
You can say sorry,
apologize, or I'll try to but if you have a tight grip, you're just gonna hang on to it.
Yeah.
But
don't intentionally rip the hair, but if it happens, it's okay.
Right. All right, Chewy. I think we'll end it on that one. And on that,
we'll wrap up on the beard question.
Wrap up on the beard question. I don't think we have any more. If you guys have any more, send us one more. We'll do maybe one more. But in the meantime, Chewy, let's thank our sponsors real fast, and then if you guys have another question.
So new sponsor, Hoist. It's like moist, but with an H. I was reading all that stuff earlier in my awful British accent. No, it's a good drink. It's basically, it's got like 3 times the electrolytes, about half the sugar of most of the electrolyte drinks on the market.
Powerade or what have you.
Yeah, it gets into your bloodstream quickly. And I used it during a training session on one of my rolling days, on my heavy rolling days, and I felt like I felt the difference from it. I felt like I had a little extra energy to go for training. So again, it was useful. So that's why we have it here. It also doesn't have any dyes or any artificial sweeteners. So not bad. Eugene also said he used it when he was drunk. And
I was not drunk, Chewy. I'm just older. And I don't drink very often.
You're like 2 years.
Do what?
You're older by like 2 years.
I'm almost 38.
Yeah, so like you're older by 2 years.
So anyways, yeah, I thought it was helpful just because I didn't feel as crummy for as long. I drank it and I felt a little better. I felt like I came back to life a little bit.
Yeah. So again, with any of the products that we have here, they've all been used before they ever make it. Everything's been used before it makes it to you guys, because otherwise I can't promote it.
And it tastes good and it's local and I like that.
Yeah. Charlotte's Web CBD. They also have a new one. It's a THC free, so it's got 0.01 whatever parts of THC in it, so it probably shouldn't create any sort of problem for you. Check on their website to get more details on it. But this is their THC free one, and they've still got some other cannabinoids that they've added to it. I'm going to test run this for a little bit now and see how it works, and I'll let you guys know just to see. But again, I'm a big fan of their CBD products, including their CBD Medic balms and everything else.
Yeah, they also are part of CBD Medic. And that stuff is it's actually FDA approved for joint pain and arthritis and stuff like that.
I'm a big fan, man. If my knees get all janky and stuff, I use that stuff. You can check out all their stuff at charlottesweb.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu. Save 15% on the order. Oh, by the way, Hoist. Did you already put up the thing on there?
I can do it.
It's
drinkhoist.com.
Drinkhoist.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu.
Yep.
And it's 10% off.
You've got it.
And then Epic Roll. If you guys are looking at the shirt right now, this little... It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
What do they call those?
No, it's a seek and find.
Seek and find puzzle or the hat. Any of his stuff. I'm a big fan of Matt's stuff, from his gis to his rash guards. Everything else is. If you haven't checked out his Velcro-less shorts, so he's got like MMA grappling shorts without the Velcro. I'm a big fan of those. I'm trying to work on doing something with them, because I'd like to make some with those, because they're super, super comfortable. And I'm a big fan of those. But if you want to check out any of his stuff, go to epicrollbjj.com. Promo code is Jiu-Jitsu with 15% off the order. And last, but certainly not least, we've got the Manscaped sponsorship and
Lawnmower 4.0.
They just sent us a Lawnmower 4.0. we have to send him an email, so we got to get 2 of them because Eugene and I are not going to share this thing.
We shared this one. Don't let him trick you. We shared it. It's awesome.
It's actually a really handy little thing. It's like, it's small, it's waterproof, it's charged up with a battery that you can sit out on your. I put mine out on my bathroom, and it works for my beard down to my nether region just fine.
The old
And
nethers.
This little light originally annoyed the crap out of me. If you look, it's got a light if you're watching this on video. But what happens is you can actually see. I wonder if you can do this. I better not get that close. I'm like, but you can see all the little stray hairs, and you can make sure that you can get those suckers trimmed up.
You can actually turn that. We don't know yet. We haven't played with that one enough. We
Either
just
way,
got it in.
Super cool product from Manscaped, which is the sort of the premier company for, they say, like, men's grooming below the waist, but I'm a big fan of this, using this thing even, above the waist.
That's right.
And yeah, that's that. So guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast with us today. Oh, and if you guys want to see what's going on in my world or whatever, or sort of get updates from me, I do a daily email list, the Chew Crew email list, which you can get if you go to over to my website at chewjitsu.net. There's a little button that says free ebook. I'll give you some free jiu-jitsu ebooks, and it also comes with a daily email, which you can unsubscribe from at any time. But if you ever want to see what's going on in my neck of the woods, that's a good place to check. So, You got anything?
Yeah, I just actually revamped my website, jiu-jitsutherapist.com. I've got some products on there as well. I've got like a new wrist rehab course, a warm-up course on there. You can use the code actually 20OFF, 20OFF, and get 20% off any of the courses you want. And you can always reach out to me as well if you have any questions.
Yeah, if any of you guys are broken, check out Eugene. Like Eugene's, I say that I was talking about earlier. I was asking if he does any like consultations. I asked that because the dude has done like work with me for over a decade, and every time I've got something wrong with me, I'm like, hey Eugene, look at this, and he'll give me some exercises to do. I do my exercises for usually 4 to 6 weeks. The problems typically go away and everything's better. So again, the guy knows what he's doing. So I would definitely, if that's something that's really interested in, you're really interested in getting fixed up, or if you got some nagging injuries, again, he's not some goofball. He's a doctor of physical therapy. He knows his stuff. He does jiu-jitsu. If you can't find someone else in your area to do it, hit him up.
Maybe I can guide you in the right direction. Regardless if we don't work together, just shoot me a message. I can always try to help you out, put you in the right direction. But guys, thank you all so much. We appreciate the support. And Chewy's gi origin and Jiu-Jitsu gi is it's cool. Yeah. It's awesome gi. It's very high quality, and I like it. I'm getting one.
All right. So guys, appreciate you, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.